Trustees for Tuesday, September 4th, 2018. Let the record reflect that it's approximately, it is 6:37. So as he says. Okay, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Trustee Muhammad.
Here.
Trustee Stubbs.
Here.
Trustee House.
Here.
Trustee Denton.
Present.
Trustee Pearson.
Here.
Trustee Henyard.
Present.
All members of the board are present. We have a quorum. If you all stand for our Pledge of Allegiance and our prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if you remain standing, I'll have Chief Rush lead us in prayer tonight.
Heavenly Father, we want to take this time to thank you for all you've done for us and all the things you've yet to do. We ask that your Spirit come into this room and guide us through these proceedings. In your heavenly name, we all say, amen.
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 No. Chief, we're having a little disruption here by the trustee with the camera.
He said, come and pick it up. Camera, hold your hand.
It's fine, leave it there. Okay, next thing on the agenda is general announcements. Are there any?
Just a reminder to the mayor and trustees that general announcements are for the purpose of anyone on this board making an announcement of any upcoming event or any issue that they would wish to promote that is not normally part of their committee reports.
Okay, no general announcement.
I'm sorry, may I be recognized?
Go ahead, trustee.
On Friday, August 31st, 2018, a dedication of the water fountain on Park Avenue was dedicated to the late Mayor William Bill Shaw, who was not only the first African-American mayor of the village of Dalton from 1997 to 2008. He also was the senator for the 15th district, who was able to secure a beautiful water fountain at no cost to the residents of Dalton. I would just like to take this time to thank the entire Board of Trustees, along with other elected officials, Ms. Louise Copeland, Library Board, Stan Brown, Park District, employees from Dalton, Chief Collins, Assistant Chief Mobley, Dalton Fire Department, police officers, including Detective Hope and Lieutenant Moore, and many more, along with the residents of Dalton. Former Commissioner Shaw, who talked about his brother, humble beginnings, Sean Howard. We were unable to send out email blasts and to put it on the Access channel, so I apologize for that. And again, thank you. Again, thank you for coming out.
It's a recording of yourself.
Okay. Next thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Trustee, I've listed a number of minutes on the meeting. I regret to say that they are not available this evening due to unforeseen circumstances last week, but they will be available at the next regular meeting. As to number B, communications, we have no communications this evening.
Okay, next thing on is the engineer's report.
Good evening, Mayor, Madam Clerk, trustees, residents from the Village of Dalton. Just have one item on my report this evening. The Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning has a My Daily Travel survey that is available online, or you can phone in. This travel survey is to collect data and feedback to help improve the future of transportation in the South Suburban region. The information for the survey will indicate how the roads, public transportation, bike lanes, sidewalks are used today, and how they can be improved to make travel better in the future. Again, the My Daily Travel survey is sponsored by the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, and by providing accurate information about your daily travel will help to ensure funding is available to maintain roads, bridges, and that the transit dollars are spent where they're needed most. The one good thing about this survey, you receive $50 for taking the survey. So you can go on mydailytravel.com/CMAP, or you can call in the toll-free number of 1-855-981-7286. Again, the website is mydailytravel.com/CMAP, or the toll-free hotline of 1-855-981-7286. And again, that is a survey of My Daily Travel, sponsored by the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Thank you.
Next thing on the agenda is committee reports. Trustee Muhammad.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a monthly summary for the Payment Center for the month of August 2018 by Mrs. Barbara Batten, who is the supervisor of the Water Department. The total water collections was $715,136.28, and the other collections were $416,490.20. The grand total collections was $1,131,626.48. The dollar amount of water bills that are 120 days or more past due is $1,993,557.05. And this is an increase of $329,352.10. And that is my report for the Human Services, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, next thing is Trustee Henry, Planning.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you guys for coming out this evening. Village of Dalton Housing Report, August 1st through August 31st, prepared by Denise Fields. 36 property transfer tax, 62 transfer tax, 16 sale inspections, 34 as is, 9 quick claim, 12 judicial deeds, 3 trust deeds, 1 deed in lieu, 26 rental licenses, 36 rental inspections, 309 vacant property permits, 13 tenant water deposits, 20 escrow deposits, 27 escrow release inspection, 25 escrow refunds, 8 grass invoices, 76 housing tickets. The total process was $745. The total revenue collected was $110,000 and $110,558.75 was collected for the revenue. And then also, she did a vacant property registration. For the month of May, we collected $9,720. For the month of June, we collected $42,000. For the month of July, we collected $16,888. End of report for housing.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Henry. Next is Trustee Stubb, Departmental Operations.
Good evening, everyone. I hope that you had a great holiday. Public Works Productivity Report for August 2018, submitted by Matt Stacy, Superintendent. Public Works has cut and cleaned 63 vacant properties, lots, walkways, and islands. Public Works has installed checked and repaired 44 streetlights. Public Work has cut down 31 dead trees and trimmed 27 trees. Public Works has installed, checked, and repaired 3 streetlights. Public Works has repaired 17 B boxes, 2 water main breaks, cleaned and repaired 7 sewers. Public Works has worked on shutoffs for delinquent properties. They have successfully shut off 178 properties. They found 93 properties that are still dig jobs. 22 properties have made payment arrangements with the water department. They also completed 2 emergency water turnoffs. Public Works has successfully restored 8 properties after water main breaks, B-box repairs, and sewer repairs. Public Work Mechanics has serviced 4 police department vehicles, 1 fire department vehicle, and 20 public works vehicles, along with miscellaneous jobs that have come into the shop. This is a reminder, please put your garbage out the night before your garbage pickup day, along with any debris that you may have. Homewood is picking up yard waste, tree branches. Please use brown bags, not plastic. Please cut your branches into 4-foot sections, bundle them together. If you have any questions or concerns, you can call Public Works at 708-201-3280 or 3281. Again, that number is 708-201-3280 or 3281. In addition, I want to add this because I did not see this on the report that I received. On the warrant list, it have 5-star. Matt, maybe you can explain this. It says street expansion in the total amount of $17,300, and I had asked Miss Redmond, could she forward invoices so we could actually see what this was, and also it was many other sidewalks repair totaling the price over $50,000.
All those repairs with the expansion of the street that was done down by Perium Healthcare, we widened the street out because they were doing a lot of work over there. It was too tight for the trucks, the ambulances, fire trucks, snow plows to get down there. So I widened the street out 5 feet. We put new curbing in, new sidewalk. We made it handy. And with the other stuff, hazards and all that, we have go out, we look at them. If they're real bad trip hazards, we get them replaced. And that's where all that comes from. Also with our water main breaks,
and in fire, and we need to cut that. From Chief Collins, Dalton Police mobile app. This is a reminder that the Dalton Police mobile app is not intended for in-progress calls. When you're observing incidents as they are happening, please call 911. Call 911 for police service. You can find the mobile app in your smartphone's app store. Village stickers still not displayed. The police department is still issuing numerous citations for failure to display a village sticker. Please apply your sticker to the windshield of your car. Vehicles can still be ticketed even if they are in your driveway. New addition to the fleet. The police department has added a new Ford F-150 pickup truck to the fleet. The vehicle was purchased and equipped with funds seized from drug traffickers. The vehicle is being used for general patrol, light duty, utility, and also hauling of equipment. Since the implementation of the K-9 units, Dalton Police have seized thousands of dollars in drug money, numerous vehicles, and has confiscated large amounts of cocaine, heroin, marijuana, and ecstasy. Criminal cases being solved. Dalton Police investigators have been doing an excellent job in solving and making arrests in many of the cases that are reported by the news agencies, as well as cases that don't make the news. Very rarely do reporters follow up and report the outcomes in many of these cases. The stats. During the month of August 2018, the police department responded to 2,493 calls for service. In addition to responding to calls, the following activity was recorded. Traffic, 225. Parking violations, 444. Criminal arrests, 58. Warrants, 11. Aggravated assault and battery, 12. Criminal sexual assault, 1. 0 murders. Robbery, 9. Burglary, 18. Motor vehicle theft, 24. Thefts, 91. And 1 arson. From Chief Dyer, who again I say is working hard to try to get towards that 10%. I do think that number has been lowered now, but he is making some moves in that department to try to get to that amount, as well as Chief Collins, who has reduced his overtime and working very hard to cut his overtime to reduce the cost expense in that in that department. From Chief Dyer, we have fires 153. Now this is January 1st, 2018 to August 31st, 2018. Fires 153, motor vehicle accidents 182, emergency medical service 2,133, hazardous conditions 109, fire service calls, good internet, 191, fire alarms 260, and incident reports in progress 0, for a total of 3,028 total incidents. And the last thing on my report is, Mayor, could you tell us if you're going to open Station 2 back up, or is it going to remain closed?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Okay, the next thing on the
End of my report. Thank you.
next thing on the agenda is Finance Trustee Muhammad.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 2 reports, one short and the other quite extensive. If I can get you, Mr. Kemp, to approach the microphone, and I'll introduce you after I read the first report from Mrs. Redmond. If you would, Mr. Kemp, the microphone. Finance report, September 4th, 2018. The amended fiscal year 2019 budget was passed on Friday, August 10th. The Finance Department is working with the Finance Committee and independent financial advisor, Marlo Kemp, to have a balanced budget. The due date for the second installment property tax bill was Wednesday, August 1st. As of August 31st, we have received $146,187.36 of the 9,600,000. Let me say that second number again. Of the $9,645,831.70 bills extended. This represents a collection rate thus far of 74%. The Finance Department and Attorney Murphy are in communication with the City of Chicago, which I'll go into detail on my second part of this report, to resolve our water bill challenges. The next meeting before the judge is scheduled for Thursday, September 20th, 2018. Our auditors, Lauterbach and Amon, will be on site for audit fieldwork September 17th through the 28th. The purpose of the visit is to complete the fiscal year 18 audit, in which we are striving for another unqualified opinion. And before I go into my second report, Mr. Kemp, I wanted you up here to state your observations and analysis thus far that you've helped this village in a voluntary capacity to see where we're at now and where we need to go. Mr. Kemp, at the microphone, please.
Thank you, Trustee. I have been working since the last meeting with Trustee Muhammad, Ms. Redmond, and Trustee House, taking a look at the budget and seeing where there were opportunities and things like that. I met with Ms. Redmond via telephone. We went over the proposed budget. Part of the issue is that there are a lot of things in the budget that are contractually obligated, and because they are contractually obligated, they cannot be eligible for cuts. What that does mean, though, is that of the things that remain, there actually has to be a higher percentage of those things cut if you are to have a balanced budget. So one of the issues that had come up is a bond issue that could then be used to cover at least $900,000 of the current gap, which would then give you $900,000 on the revenue side. Initially, there was still approximately a $448,000 gap. Going through the revenues with Ms. Redmond, we were able to conclude that some of the revenues for like refuse and things like that were a bit lower than they could have been, and so based on their past trends, we were able to effectively push those revenues upward. And so as a result, instead of having a $448,000 deficit, the deficit was down closer to $302,000. Then so what the remaining issue is that there has to be a way to cover that particular gap. There are several options that are on the table. One is to increase the bond issue from $900,000 to $1.3 million, which would then balance the budget for this fiscal year. However, that $1.3 million carries with it a bit of risk because you have to be sure that you can find someone who will purchase the bonds. And so that's part of the issue. The other option is to stay at $900,000 and say we're going to cut our way to a balanced budget. And as I mentioned before, Ms. Redmond and I went through and looked and saw that some of these things, some of the things that would have been included in a larger overall cut had to be eliminated. So for example, you're not going to cut fuel because one, you don't know what the fuel costs are, and gasoline prices fluctuate. So what wound up happening is you have to take a higher percentage of a smaller amount. So you could get it all that way, or you could do what I like to call a hybrid, which is make some cuts and then increase, instead of increasing it by, from 900,000 to 1.3 million, maybe increase it to 1.1 million or some percentage in between. Part of the issue is that, even as we try to plan for this year's budget, you want to start looking long term and seeing how viable this can be going forward. And so a couple of the observations was that, one, you have a $1.3 million of your revenue, or $900,000 of your revenue that is coming from tax anticipation notes. And unless we can somehow recover an additional $900,000, you'll be having to do tax anticipation notes going forward. The other observation is that $600,000 of your revenue is coming from the sale of the Dorchester, and that is a one-time deal. And so in subsequent years, you have to find a way to replace that $600,000 as well. And so what that all boils down to is, in the long term, you have somewhere between $1.5 to $2 million of revenue that we're going to have to find a way to stabilize in terms of being able to get it year after year, and that is going to be one of the challenges going forward.
Okay, did you have a question for him, trustee?
Thank you for that. I just wanted to kind of put a little bit more framework on there. We did have several meetings in the spirit of working together collectively as a board. Some of the estimations that were made, Mrs. Redmond, myself, are still in disagreement with the estimates. However, as a board and the majority, it was been voted that to move forward, and in the spirit of moving forward, we set some meetings to take a look at what the amended budget would look like. I think we had some very cordial discussions through the disagreement. However, I would say I think I still hold the stance that the amendment is not necessary. I think I would again defer back to our finance director, who has stated that it's not necessary. And then also the proposed solution, as I'm hearing it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is an increased bond. And my thought would be, if we're going to do an additional bond, I think we should do enough to cover the employees who work hard day to day in this village of Dalton, to make sure that we continue getting the service that we deserve.
If you could respond.
Yes, I am not here to say what you can and cannot do. I'm simply saying, here's a look at the numbers, and here's what you kind of see, going forward. Historically, so the issue is that if you actually do a bond issue to try to cover the employees, then you're going to have to do that every year until you can somehow make up the revenue that it takes. Honestly, when I looked, I said, there are plenty of challenges that the village is facing right now from a fiscal standpoint, and that's not to be good or bad or negative. It's just when you look at the audits and things like that, that's just where we are, and somehow in order to kind of get it so that you can start stabilizing and get to a point of stability and then start to grow, that you're going to have to find a way to, for lack of a better word, wean ourselves off of the tax anticipation notes. That's not going to happen overnight. When I looked at the budgets and all of the audits and everything, my estimate is about 5 years or so, but you have to every year kind of make a little more incremental progress. I mean, some of that's going to come because of the natural, the 4.9% that you're allowed in the property taxes. Some of it may come in growth in other revenues, but really it kind of, the thing is, the tax anticipation notes cost you money too, just like it costs money for anybody to borrow money. And so these tax anticipation notes don't only cost the $900,000 or however much it is you borrow, they're also going to be charging interest. And so that's money then that can't be used to hire, policemen and everything else. What it does kind of point to, though, is one of the things that I would recommend is that you do kind of like a 3 to 5 year forecast, not necessarily a year-to-year budget. It's certainly your year-to-year budget is going to be the most important document, but a 3 to 5 year forecast so that you could actually kind of paint with very broad strokes, like what kind of money you're going to be needing in the future. And of course, as you get closer to those time frames, you can actually begin to shape and take a look at and more accurately forecast things. But it would not be a bad idea at all to start out and say, where do we want to be 3 to 5 years from now, and what revenue sources do we have that will help us get to that particular point?
Okay. There are no other questions to Mr. Kemp. You can have a seat. Thank you so much. And I'll go to the last part of my report. Clerk, you have this for the record, and I want to read it publicly for the record as well. Tuesday, September 4th, 2018, Finance Report, Dwayne Muhammad, Finance Chairperson. On Monday, August 10th of this year, the trustees, along with the Finance Department, called for a special board meeting to pass the budget with amendments for fiscal year 2018-2019. The primary reason for the meeting was to go over every line item that there was on the budget to explain reductions, cuts, increases, and the dire financial situation of the Village of Dalton. Throughout the year, we as a board received warnings of monies running out by November of 2018. Assessments had to be made between our Finance Department and our auditors concerning an $8 million water bill owed to the City of Chicago, and how we will, the village, meet such a large bill brought on by a lawsuit from the city. Critical cuts in personnel and non-personnel related items had to be made, but all the cuts in the world will not help our budget unless there are also some other forms of revenue coming into our village. Many residents, when you hear of the budget, you may not think it is as important to keeping our streets cleaned, snow removal, the number of police officers patrolling our village, or getting the rest of or getting the street repaired on the very block you live on, where you have to weave in and out in order to avoid the potholes. All of these are related to our budget that affects every resident in Dalton. The budget of the Village of Dalton, what is it? We have a budget of approximately $18 million. What does that mean? Well, our budget is a statement of the financial position of an administration for a definite period of time, which is that 1 year that the Mr. Marlowe referred to, based on estimates of expenditures or expenses during that same period of proposals for financing them. In its simplest forms, it means this. We as a village collect approximately $18 million through taxes and fees. This means the monies the village collects to give services to you, the residents, cannot exceed $18 million. It's no different than what you do for your own household day to day. You have a budget based on your income, whether you're working or retired on a fixed income. Now, it was said from this dais on August 10th that I, Trustee Muhammad, don't have the qualifications to be the finance chairman, and that someone else should chair this committee. In finances, even understanding budgets, one can surely understand you can't be over a committee or finance, and your personal finances are not in order. You can't run a village or assist in running a village in a financial capacity if you have filed several bankruptcies, had your homes foreclosed upon, and have bad credit. I have none of these. I have good credit. My mortgage and bills are paid on time like many of you. You have to have intellectual curiosity when approaching any task and learning. It is not rocket science. You cannot spend more than the monies you are bringing in. You cannot bond or borrow monies to meet your financial obligations of an $18 million budget. This current budget shows a possible bond borrowed of over $1 million to meet our general obligations. This is not the way you run a village. This is not the way you run a corporation. Simply, it's like trying to pay your bills with a credit card with high interest. We, as a legislative body who have a fiduciary responsibility to you, the residents, cannot continue to borrow our way out of debt. Revenues must be increased in order to offset the deficit that has plagued this village for at least the last 5 years. We are still working on the budget, formulating cuts across the board. This means that all departments have to find ways to cut expenses unrelated to personnel cuts. We must bite the bullet and look for ways to reduce this deficit. A couple of department heads have come forward with some cost-saving measures, and every little bit helps. It is your tax dollars and the fees that you pay to this village that are used in the day-to-day operation of this village. On Monday, August 10th, there were many who came to these microphones pleading for 1 or 2 individuals to save their jobs. A budget, when it is drawn up, becomes law when it is passed by the trustees, by this Board of Trustees. It must be followed by everyone who lives in the village of Dalton. Though we currently have ordinance passed, and this mayor refuses to follow some of them, and the board has no choice but to take him to a judge, and the judge order him to abide by a duly voted on ordinance by a Board of Trustees. Just like you and I have to abide by the law, or we're subject to a fine or imprisonment in some cases. No one is above the law, not a trustee, not a clerk, and definitely not the mayor. If you, as a resident, are fined for an infraction based upon a resolution or an ordinance that's passed, so should an elected official be subject to a fine. No one is above the law. Now back to those who lobbied for certain employees not being let go for budgetary reasons. Not one person who was the proponent or advocate for those employees gave a solution to where will the monies come from by keeping these individuals on. Many charged us with this being a political move. This certainly was not political, and there were employees affected across the board. This budget passed by the board still faces a deficit, and some think borrowing money to get us through the next year is a temporary solution. This budget, at least for the last 5 years, a bond was taken out to pay those bills. This is no way to run a corporation, which is what this is. We're a government, yes, but we're also like a corporation with employees, insurance premiums to pay, taxes to the state and federal government, and many other expenses. The emotion has to be removed in the process of going through a budget of nearly 450 line items. There were charges of a personal nature hurled at me, and all were based on misinformation, half-truths, and outright lies. As finance chair and a trustee that is entrusted to look at our finances along with the mayor and staff, we as a collective must come up with solutions to the dire financial crisis that this village is currently in and has been in for some years. On advice of our legislative council, we have been afforded the opportunity to work with Mr. Marlo Kemp, who is a professional in the field of finance, accounting, and budgets. Mr. Kemp has volunteered his services to us and has no dog in this race, and has given an objective analysis of our problem. Mr. Kemp met with Ms. Redmond, Trustee House, and myself concerning this budget. Mr. Kemp has made recommendations on this budget that I agree are the best route to take for fiscal responsibility to get us out of this hole that has taken years to dig. My suggestion to this board, and Mr. Kemp agrees, is to not manage this village always in crisis mode. We're coming up with a projection of a yearly budget. We have to be in the business of projecting 3 to 5 year budgets like many other municipalities does in managing their operations. In order to do this, our administration has to be disciplined in following the budget and keeping the department heads in line on staying on budget in their respective departments. But we must get cooperation from the mayor's office as we have gotten from staff such as Ms. Redmond. The mayor has been absent in this process and offers no real solution to our financial issues. He says he will not get involved because anything he suggests will be shot down. This type of rhetoric is unacceptable. All hands should be on deck, giving whatever input they have in making this village a financially sound village. Politics have to be removed in this process. The finger-pointing must end, and a cooperative effort must replace tribal politics and dividing this village with innuendos, half-truths, and in many cases, outright lies. As a board, we must come together to solve the issues of this village, but we welcome the mayor's input as well. This must be a team effort. It's not about taking the power away from one individual. The current president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, said, "Only I alone." Only.
I was thinking today, Dwayne must have voted for him.
The current president of the United States, Donald Trump, said, "Only I."
Order.
The current president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, said, "Only I alone can solve the problems of the United States." And we all agree, as the crowd states, that's not true. Congress serves as a check and balance for the executive branch of government, which is the president. And we, the Board of Trustees, a legislative body, is the check and balance for the executive branch of government here in Dalton, which is our president, Mayor Riley Rogers. We ask that the politics stop and the solving of problems. We ask that the politics stop and the solving of problems, such as the financial condition of this village, be given a priority. Serious issues face this village in the way of the billing of water to our residents. Serious issues face this village in the way of billing of water to our residents. A laser-like focus has to be on the water department to get that department in order. I'm sure we all agree that monthly billing will help to solve this issue, along with fixing the problem of errant billing that has gone on for years. If it's a software problem, fix it. If it's a personnel problem, fix it. Attention must be put on departments that are causing hardship for our residents concerning wrong billings, and having qualified persons in departments that will make this a more professionally run village. We have to look at the contracts between the village and the unions that cause large amounts of overtime that goes into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is not to say that the village is taking on an anti-union stance. I myself was a union man for over 20 years, and I truly understand the benefits of belonging to a union. And some of those areas that we as a village must renegotiate in order to have the best position with the unions that are contracted with our village. There cannot be an abuse of contracts where the village suffers financially. We are not in the strong financial position we were years ago with our unions. I have heard myself in the past the following words: "I hope we can meet payroll this week." These are words that should never be uttered from those who see revenue coming into the village in an anemic state. Lastly, our water bill owed to the city of Chicago. This is a serious situation that must be addressed. At our last special board meeting, I asked our village attorney, John Murphy, to explain the importance of the relationship of payment to the city of Chicago from the village of Dalton. We have had at least 2 meetings in downtown Chicago in the Daly Center with the attorneys of the city of Chicago, the judge overseeing this case, and 2 finance persons representing the city. Representing Dalton in these meetings were Ms. Redmond of the Finance Department, Attorney Murphy, Trustee Pearson, and myself, Trustee Muhammad. Mayor Rogers did not appear at any of these hearings or meetings. $8.3 million is owed to the city of Chicago in arrearages. The attorney explained to the public that the tax levy has to be raised in order to meet the obligation of about $810 million to be paid to the city over the next possible 10 years. This is money that could go to the improvement of streets, cutting down and trimming of trees, bringing business to the community that relies heavily on real estate taxes from you and me, the resident. Again, it has to be a team effort from all elected officials in solving these most important financial issues. $8 million is nothing to sneeze at. Paying over $800,000 a year on top of our current water usage is no laughing matter. Now, I'm the messenger of bad news, but I'm also giving you a message of truth. I may not be looked at favorably by you in delivering hard truths. I will work on delivering my message to you, which can come off as harsh and biting. It is not my intent. I think it was Reverend Jesse Jackson that said, "God is not through with me yet." I think it was Reverend Jesse Jackson that said, "God is not through with me yet." I agree. I am a work in progress. All of us have fallen short of the glory of God. None of us are perfect, no, not one. I'll say that again. All of us have fallen short of the glory of God. None of us are perfect, no, not one. We tend to be impatient with each other, and that's okay. I've come to deal with that as an elected official. Continue to call me as you have done. My cell phone is published on the website. Stop me on the streets and in the places you see me around town. Continue to encourage me to give the good fight. Critique me and tell me where I need to improve, because I'm not above your critique of me. And tell me where I need to improve, because again, I'm not above your critique of me. And know that I come to this position as a servant for the people of my community. This is not my livelihood as a trustee. It is a temporary position that you, the voting residents of Dalton, chose me to do a job. In doing this job, I know it doesn't make everyone happy. Let me read that again. It is a temporary position that you, the voting residents of Dalton, chose me to do a job. In doing this job, I know it doesn't make everyone happy. I'm a resident just like you. I love Dalton. I see the great potential of Dalton. I see the great potential of its residents as I talk to you on a regular basis. Don't judge me by these cameras and the editing of cameras now. One has been placed less than 10 feet from me and edited to show me in a light that is not me. Some of you have said the camera close to me shows me sitting improperly. I'll say that again. Some of you have said the camera close to me shows me sitting improperly. Know that I have had back issues for years and have recently had back surgery. And anyone who has had back surgery knows that you can never get comfortable sitting in most chairs. But ask the question, why was the second camera placed? Again, politics. Nasty, mean-spirited politics. It was one of my great mentors, Mayor Harold Washington of Chicago, who said, politics ain't beanbag. Politics is a rough and tumble game. I don't have the stomach for disrespecting each other. I wasn't raised that way. I'll say it again. I don't have the stomach for the disrespect of each other. I wasn't raised that way. I was brought up to speak truth to power. I'll say it again. I was brought up to speak truth to power. And this budget, you must know the truth of it. It's not just numbers on paper. It is dollars, lives, debt, revenue, bonds, expenditures, and a host of things that will cause this village to grow, and if not monitored, will cause this village to suffer like other towns that you've witnessed that are close to our borders. Let's come together as a legislative body and an executive body to bring Dalton up out of the dire finances that we face as a community of problem solvers and not dividers of the people. Thank you, Mayor. That's the end of the finance report.
Well, since since half of that speech was about me, I'm gonna agree with one thing that you did say. That's a temporary position. We got 8 months to deal with you. Next thing is special events trustee Henry.
I don't even know how to come behind that. Okay, I'm gonna be brief, you guys. Really brief. I'm excited. Just so you guys know, our council walk date is October 13th. I hope you all come out and walk with us. We walk down Sibley. It's literally no more than an hour of your time. If you want to donate, buy t-shirts, anything, you guys, please come out October 13th, which is a Saturday. It's going to be scheduled at 9 a.m. We normally meet in the parking lot of Blast Fitness, which is now a beauty supply store. I don't know if we're going to do there or Thornridge High School. Right now I'm trying to figure out if we're going to do Thornridge or there. But I will have the pluggers and flyers ready, so please show up and show out with us. I appreciate that. Last but not least, I just want to give you guys an announcement as to when you are renting to someone, to the landlords or the tenants. I forgot to give this. Someone called my office the other day, and the issue was that someone ran off with their money. The person did not own the house. I normally get this information after the fact, so my advice to you residents are to do your checks and balances. Come into the village, find out the person owned the house. You could check with Denise Fields over here. You can check to see if they owe a water bill. They owe a ton of money, I ain't gonna say the number, on a water bill. The individual cannot get the water turned on in their name or get their security deposit back, because the individual did not own the property. So please, please, please educate your loved ones or anybody that's trying to rent in the village of Dalton or anywhere for that matter. Check before you give your money up. And one other issue I got a call about, people are calling residents' homes, telling them to switch over to whether it's Nightcore or ComEd. My opinion to that, I don't believe it's legit. I'm only saying that because I advised this individual not to do so. When she asked for a return phone call number, they did not give her one. So they said that they had to call her in order to get the information. And they wanted her information to her account. So again, you guys ask questions, reach out, and pay attention. Protect one another. Thank you, Mayor. End of report.
Okay. Yeah.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah. I was going to have the chief do it, but if you want to do it. All right. All right. Okay, next thing on the agenda is corporate bills.
I make a motion to pay the corporate bills of corporate payments register 126 of $671,701.44 with a gross payroll of $374,150.44 with the Melanie Fitness Center of $6,729.31 with a gross payroll of $2,070 with the total corporate payments of $1,054,651.19. Second.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been motioned and seconded to pay the corporate bills as stated. Any discussion?
Yes, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I had asked Ms. Redmond for a copy of those invoices for the $50,000 that was paid out for sidewalks and the street expansions. So that's the only thing that I really had a question about, and I would like to see them before I vote to pay the corporate bills, with the exception of Five Star. That's
Okay.
on page 5.
What is the total amount on line?
Page 8, I'm sorry.
Page 8 for Five Star outstanding. Hello? What is the total amount on page 8 that's outstanding to be paid?
That amount is $50,175.
So none of those invoices have been paid?
That's not the question.
No, I didn't say I didn't want to pay them. I say I would like to see those invoices before I vote to pay them.
Okay, that's your prerogative to not vote to advance the payment. So,
Mayor, may I speak, Mayor?
go ahead.
Maybe we could remove that amount and pay the rest of the corporate bills, and once we get copies, and we could look and see what that's about, and we could take a phone consensus to pay that amount once the trustees want to weigh in on it.
Yes. Can I be recognized, Mayor?
Not everybody might do that. She
Yeah.
can vote individually.
Okay, go ahead, trustee.
Yeah, these questions that the trustees put forth, I did bring these to Ms. Redmond this morning. Actually, there were a total of 10. One of them actually being the Chicago water payment that we paid. I think last month it was over $100,000, and why it wasn't on the warrant list. And for the edification of the trustees, the reason why it wasn't on the warrant list, because the billing that we receive from the city of Chicago is usually after the warrant list is published. The other question the trustees have that I'll just represent, it was the Avalon Petroleum. And Mayor, if you can answer that, that would be helpful. But she informed me, and we do have department heads here now, and they can chime in, that the Evelyn Petroleum system that was installed a year or two ago, we wanted to know what is the monitoring on that. In other words, the gasoline that's being taken out of those tanks for the use of the village vehicles, is it still being monitored, whereas personal vehicles are not being filled up with gas? Vehicles that are taken home on personal use are not being used. So she's not here. She was getting that information from the department head. So Mayor, if you could chime in, or any other department heads can give us the answer to that question on what is the monitoring of the Evelyn Petroleum that's pumped out of that system located at Public Works.
Why are you asking me to chime in on it if you've asked Ms. Red to give you the information?
Again, Ms. Redmond's response was that the department heads could answer that, but I know that all department heads, I would assume, report to the mayor, and that you would have some input on that.
I don't have any input on it.
Okay. So at this point, we don't know what the monitoring of that petroleum is. I'll wait for Ms. Redmond to get in touch with all the department heads of the village to know that the gasoline that the village residents are paying, exactly that it's going to those vehicles. There was another item on here, I believe it's Hellcell Jefferson, and the trustees can help me on it. It had something to do with, the amount was $3,000. I think it was M.E. Simpson. Pardon me, that was M.E. Simpson for $9,159 on page 7. And maybe Public Works can answer that for us. Trustee Pearson, if you remember, that was for some kind of leak detection. Yeah. Was that for the resolution that was passed last month? We're not absolutely sure on that. Maybe Public Works can chime in on that one if you're familiar with that one. Mr. Stacy?
Yes, sir. That's for the leak detection program that you guys voted on last month. They are just now completing it, and we should have a report within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you for that. The other ones, since they're, well, like I say, Ms. Redmond is not here. We'll wait for her correspondence. So, Attorney, I don't know if we want to have an amendment to vote on Trustee Stubbs' motion to hold back on payment of 5 Star, because the motion has been made to pass the.
Right, there's a motion on the floor that has to be dealt with first. Either vote on that motion, or whoever made the motion can withdraw it, and then you can do an amended motion. But you can't vote on a second motion before you deal with the first motion on the floor.
Gotcha.
Okay.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the corporate bills as presented. Motion by Trustee Muhammad, second by Trustee House. There being no further discussion, Trustee Muhammad.
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs.
Aye.
Trustee House.
Aye.
Trustee Denton.
Aye.
Trustee Pearson.
Aye.
Trustee Henry.
Aye.
Motion carries. 6 ayes. Now, does it have to be an amended motion on the exemption of the payment of that? Yeah. Okay. All right. Next thing on
point of information, Attorney. The way we've normally done this, according to per Attorney Murphy, that if there's a question concerning an item on the warrant list, that we do a second vote to take out that particular question, which was 5 Star. That a second vote is, which is an amendment on the first vote, which was the passing.
Okay, you can. Well, someone has to bring forth the motion to amend.
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to amend the warrant list to pay everything but 5 Star until we receive those invoices, and we can do a phone census on paying those once we see them.
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded to amend the payment of the corporate bills to exempt, or exclude, I should say.
Pay them all, but
Yeah, to exclude 5 Star. Any discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Muhammad.
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs.
Aye.
Trustee House.
No.
Trustee Denton.
Aye.
Trustee Pearson.
Aye.
Trustee Henry.
No.
4-2.
Okay, 4 ayes. 2 noes, motion passed. All right, next thing on the agenda is old business, item A. That's the mayoral veto of ordinance number 18-010. And today I am, I am vetoing the ordinance number 18. Vetoing ordinance number 18-010. And this veto simply reads, I hereby veto ordinance number 18-010. This ordinance eliminates the positions held by key executive staff members. These staff members provide essential information to the residents and provide tremendously important services to our residents. These people are greatly responsible for making Dalton work. The elimination of these positions has nothing to do with balancing the budget and everything to do with political retaliation. Unless at least one of the 4 trustees who voted for the ordinance reconsiders and does the right thing, the village will face expensive, embarrassing litigation, which is greatly disrespectful to our taxpayers. More importantly, the residents of the village of Dalton will lose out on the wonderful and valuable services provided by these employees. I respectfully request that this board uphold my veto at the next regular board meeting, dated September 14th, respectively submitted, Mayor Riley H. Rogers. For the record, I'm tendering this veto to clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Trustees have already received a copy.
Okay. All right, next thing on the agenda is the hiring of 2 police officers full-time. Trustee Pearson. I think you gave your...
Yes, thank you, Mayor. In the committee meeting we had on the 30th, it was discussed to hire the 2 police officers that was put into the budget, and we also took a phone consensus with the trustees. Everybody was in favor, so I'd like to make a motion to hire 2 full-time police officers that's needed by Chief Collins.
Second.
Okay, it's a motion and seconded to hire 2 full-time police officers. Any discussion on this?
I just got one question, Mayor.
Go ahead, Trustee.
My question was, Trustee Pearson, we did speak. I was asking about the 15 officer that we discussed to hire for part-time. So was that more, the 2 full-time, is that feasible than the 15 part-time officers?
Yes, I spoke to Chief Collins about it, and he said that full-time officers can't replace the part-time officers can't replace full-time officers and would not help with reducing overtime. You need the 2 full-time officers to bring the overtime down, although the part-time officers, and the number was 7, the part-time officers would give you more of a police presence, but would cost the village in overtime, a lot of overtime. So his request to me was to give him the 2 full-time officers, not the 7 part-time officers. And if the chief wants to weigh in, he could explain it to you better, but that was the gist of it. He'd rather have 2 full-time officers.
With hiring the full-time officers, why can't we, Chief, if you will, complement the department by hiring additional part-time officers?
Full-time officers are part of a union. So when there are gaps in the shift, for instance, if officers are out injured or sick or on vacation, those gaps in the shifts have to be filled. So contractually, we cannot fill those gaps with part-time employees. Now, hiring part-time employees or part-time police officers would give us greater visibility on the street. However, that would not help us at all in reducing any of our overtime. The only way we can help our overtime is if we add full-time officers to the complement, so we can stop having to fill those gaps with full-time officers.
Okay. I would suggest that the board also take a look at hiring some part-time police officers to kind of beef up our force and visibility on the street. All right, there's a motion on the floor. Let's take the roll.
On the motion to hire 2 full-time police officers, motion by Trustee Pearson. I'm sorry, was that Trustee Stubbs that's second?
Yes.
Thank you. Roll call. Trustee Muhammad.
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs.
Aye.
Trustee House.
Aye.
Trustee Denton.
Aye.
Trustee Pearson.
Aye.
Trustee Henry.
Aye.
Motion carries 6 ayes. Next thing on the agenda is the hiring of a firefighter. And just for the record, it was noted here as a part-time firefighter. That's an error on the agenda. So it would be for 1 full-time firefighter.
Yes.
Okay.
The hiring of the firefighter is to replace Michael Marino, as I spoke earlier during the committee report. He is retiring, I believe, the last day of September, and so they need to start a hiring process immediately to have a fireman ready to step in when Marino retires. If we don't get this done, that would cost a lot of overtime. So I'd like to make a motion to hire a full-time firefighter.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
Need a second.
I need a second.
You got a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been motion and second to hire one full-time firefighter. Any discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Muhammad?
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs?
Aye.
Trustee House?
Aye.
Trustee Denton?
Aye.
Trustee Pearson?
Aye.
Trustee Henyard?
Aye.
Motion carries 6.
Motion carries 6 aye. All right, next thing on the agenda is new business. Resolution number 18R-009, supporting a Class 6B real estate tax assessment application by Expert Roofing Incorporated at 14059 Cottage Grove Avenue. I believe there's someone here representing that firm. This is a new business that has purchased some property and opened up here in the Village of Dalton. So if you want to step to the podium there, you can give an explanation to the board as what you want to do.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Honorable Trustees, village officials. Thank you very much for having me tonight. My name is George Reveliotis, and I'm an attorney. I represent Expert Roofing. They are currently based in the city of Chicago, and they have just recently acquired the property located at, it is 14059 Cottage Grove Avenue in town. The building consists of about 5,500 square feet. It sits on a sizable land square footage of a little over 100,000 square feet, so it's probably close to about 3 acres. The property was owned by a 501c3 entity. It was tax exempt for quite a number of years, which means that it was not a tax contributing parcel in town. The current owner, who just recently purchased the property, is a for-profit business, which means that ownership of this property will bring the property back onto the tax rolls and be contributing back into the tax base. The purchase price was for $85,000. The property has been vacant for, as we have been advised, for 2 years or more. The not-for-profit foundation was winding down its business and then eventually shut its operations. The company currently employs 4 people full-time, and it has subcontractors or independent contractors that come in and out, that would be coming in and out of the facility, picking up materials and transporting it to their various sites where they'd be installing, somewhere between 15 and 20 individuals. The Cook County Board just recently passed an ordinance mandating recipients of the class incentive properties that they pay the Cook County living wage, which I think is at about $15. If it's not $15 this year, it'll be $15 next year on a per hourly basis. And the applicant, he meets that criteria. He pays approximately $25 a square foot. Sorry, I'm a property attorney. I say per square foot per hour to his 4 full-time employees and also his subcontractors. We believe that this would be a great addition to the village, and I think given the current tax rate situation of Dalton, it's at about 27 or 28%. And compared to the city of Chicago, which is at about 8%, it kind of poses not only Dalton, but a lot of municipalities in a disadvantage, because when people are looking to buy and invest properties, they look at the tax rates and they say, well, you know, this is quite a high tax rate compared to other municipalities, but that's the intent also of the class incentive, because it reduces the level of assessment from 25% of the fair market value down to 10% of the fair market value for a period of 10 years. It helps mitigate that big discrepancy between the 27% and the 8% in the city of Chicago. By reducing the assessment level percentage by about 60%, really bringing in a new investor into town would subject that business or person to the tax level that they would be paying in the city of Chicago. So that is the incentive. That is the scope of the incentive.
When was the nonprofit dissolved?
We don't know when it was dissolved, Mr. Mayor. We could not get a lot of information on the not-for-profit. We checked online, but we saw that the website itself was incomplete.
Yeah. What has it been assessed by the assessor's office yet?
It has not. It has not, because it was just recently acquired.
Yeah. When did you acquire it?
When?
When? Yeah.
Within the last 2 weeks.
Okay. So you
Mayor,
should probably
I have a question, Mayor.
Don't interrupt me just right now, please. Do you think the assessment will take place before the end of the year?
We think that if the assessment does not occur by the end of this year,
right,
when the assessor does pick up on the fact that it was purchased by a for-profit entity,
yeah,
it could be in fiscal year 2019. The assessor's office will then assign an omitted assessment, and it'll go, and the assessor will not attempt, it will, in fact, assess the property from the date of purchase through the end of the year.
Right.
So there will be monies going to the municipality and the schools and all the local municipal bodies.
All right, Trustee Muhammad.
Mayor, can I be recognized?
Go ahead, Trustee Muhammad.
A couple questions for you,
Yes,
Attorney.
sir.
The number of employees once you get in full operation would be, what would that number be?
There are currently now 4 full-time employees and between 15 and 20 subcontractors, independent contractors, that are assigned the various tasks. They pick up materials and they bring them on the various sites for installation.
Second question. Upon opening, will there be any consideration given to employment, special consideration to Dalton residents? Is there a help wanted ad coming up soon where you can coordinate with the Village of Dalton where we can publish that? Is that any time on the horizon?
I think that would be a great idea. I think right now the owner's priority is, because the building was in disuse, it is in need of certain repairs to bring it to a habitability state. I think after that, of course, once the full transition has happened from his location in Chicago to here, I think then yes, I think it would be a very wise move of him to approach the city, the village, and to create synergies.
Could you relate that to the new owners from the village, that is a strong priority of ours to make consideration of Dalton residents? And lastly, Trustee Pearson and I toured the facility over the weekend. Is this a manufacturing hub of tiling? Will they be made there? Or are they purchased somewhere and shipped there?
The raw materials will be purchased somewhere, but they will be brought onto the facility. And because every roof is different, there will be welding of certain materials so they could be customized, so they could fit the various installation sites.
But the roofing material itself, the asphalt, whatever that composition is, it's not made there, it's made somewhere else.
Correct.
You do the customizing of the particular job there at that location.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
I think Trustee Pearson had a follow-up on that from our recent tour.
No, I just wanted, Mayor,
go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to find out exactly what they were going to be manufacturing, because I had a concern about tar and asphalt and whether that was going to be made there, whether there was going to be any vats on the ground with tar in them, because I witnessed in '73 a great fire at the place that I currently work now, before it became a steel company, and that fire was really took days to put out. So my concern is for the residents that it would be a safe operation and that we wouldn't have any tar vats out there.
Of course, of course.
So,
and
go ahead.
I think as a safeguard, what I've seen in other municipalities, for example, in Glenview, where they stay, where they're very keen on the operations and to ensure the viability of the operation, and to ensure the safety of the residents. What they've done is, in the ordinances themselves, they've put in certain criteria. And if those criteria are met, and only if they're met, then would the village continue to support this class incentive. And there are also measures that the village can take where if, for example, the business operator does not abide by the rules, if you will, then the business applicant would be forced by the city to apply for revocation of that class incentive.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have another question. Can I be recognized?
Go ahead.
And this might be for our attorney that's sitting in for Attorney Murphy or yourself. And I know what a 6B, could you give us that formula that's used because you pay a certain percentage above the real estate rate that we as residents pay? So what is the actual tax that you'll be paying to the county on a yearly basis based upon the $85,000 purchase price of this property? Would you know that, or maybe the attorney can figure out what you would actually be paying per year on this? If this
The real estate taxes aren't based upon the purchase price, it's based upon
Assessed value.
the assessment. And since it's been a nonprofit for a while, after 2 weeks, there's not going to be any movement in the assessor's office yet to reassess it. I mean, first it has to, there's usually a change of ownership form, et cetera, and finally they'll catch up. But the real estate taxes are never based on what you pay for the piece of property. It's based on the assessment of the property.
So at this point, we won't know until he goes through that process.
Correct.
What it would be, and that time frame, if this is approved tonight, about what, 6 months, year, what would that be that we would know, or he would know?
There's no way of knowing how long it's going to take with the assessor's office and when they catch up. Because they just finished an assessment of Cook County, so I don't know if they'll go back.
Plus, you got the new assessor coming in.
Right.
Which is going to be changing.
After the election.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, sir.
Mayor, one other question. Can I be recognized, sir?
Go ahead.
There is a chart that's in the packet, and it has an estimated tax with incentive. Where did those numbers come from?
Those numbers are just so the chart, what it displays is what the tax scenario is currently at 0, owned by when we initially had applied for the tax incentive, it was prior to the purchase. And at the time, it was not a negotiating point, it was actually part of the contract that stated that the sale of the property would be contingent on the purchaser applying and receiving the class incentive. And so this is a grid that we usually submit to the municipalities just as a reference point to illustrate what the tax contribution is of the property in its current state, in its tax exempt status, which is complete 0 contribution to the tax base, and then what the tax contribution would be if the property were to be sold to the taxable entity. The numbers that I used were just based on $85,000, but also please keep in mind that $85,000 at 10% is an assessment of $8,500. But because the building has been vacant, it's equivalent to buying an empty cup at a store. Fill it up with product, then it's worth a lot more. But we don't know what that finished product value will be, so we just use $8,500 down the grid.
Now, you just mentioned something.
Yes.
That the sale of the property was based upon the contingency of receiving the Class 6B.
It was.
Okay. So now, has the full purchase of the property been done?
It has, because
So what if you don't get the 6B? What happens? Is there any clauses in the contract that voids the purchase of the property?
no, sir.
Okay. Okay. Any further questions?
No.
Okay. You want to take a vote? Roll call.
Trustee Muhammad?
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs?
Aye.
Trustee House?
Aye.
Trustee Denton?
Aye.
Trustee Pearson?
Aye.
Trustee Head.
Aye.
Motion carries 6 ayes. Okay. All right. That's it. Next thing on the agenda is mayor's report. I just got a couple of comments on it. You know, Chief, why don't you go ahead and do your thing up there?
Good evening, everyone. You know, the times we live in right now is very, very perilous. Turn on the news, you see everything. Someone was shot, killed perhaps, traffic accidents, stabbings, and so forth. But taking it all in consideration, at this particular point, the Dalton Fire Department would like to host, well, we are going to host once again with our partnering entity, LifeSource. So this Saturday, September 8th, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., the LifeSource coach bus will be at our station to take donations. I know at some point some of you probably received donations or perhaps even gave some blood. And giving blood is can benefit quite a few people. There's whole blood, pardon me, there's platelets, red cells, white cells, and so forth. So, if you can, please do so. If not, thank you anyway. But this year, we are honoring our fallen firefighter, Larry Matthews. I'm sure some of you remember him, as well as our own police detective, Daryl Hope. And also, not on our marketing information, we had a firefighter who just retired a little bit over a year ago. His name was Raymond Ill. He became very sick. I'm not sure what the disease was, but he needed a double lung transplant. And I'm sure he received numerous transfusions. So with that being said, as I said before, if you can give, please come out and see us. That's 11 o'clock this Saturday to 4. That's shortly after Coffee with the Mayor. 11 to 4 at our station, 14022 Park. And those who can give, please give. And those who can't, God bless you. And thank you very much.
And one of the things that you find out when you give blood is the type of blood that you have. A lot of people don't know what type of blood they have. They get an emergency situation, and that may be one of the questions that the EMS providers ask you, what type of blood do you have? So it would lessen the time for them to get the right type of blood to you when they give it to you. So
I'd like to entertain any questions if you have any thus far. If not, like I said, we'll see you on Saturday.
Deputy Chief, if you could, that information you gave me the other day about how valuable it is, how much that blood, you were saying something about when you give a pint.
1 pint of blood.
It does what?
1 pint of blood can service so many people. Not everyone needs the entire whole product. Some just need platelets, such as the platelets itself, plasma, red cells, white cells, and so forth. So 1 pint of blood can service quite a few people.
and try to limit your alcohol intake prior to and drug usage, you know, prior to giving blood. So you don't want to really do anything heavily, at least 72 hours before.
Yeah. And you can sign up online. Excuse me.
Okay.
You can sign online. That's www.lifesource.org. Or you can call my office, 708-201-3251. 708-201-3251, or you can sign up at LifeSource, www.lifesource.com.
All right. Thank you, G.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Rogers, Village Clerk Dugan, Board of Trustees, department heads, and of course the residents of the Village of Dalton. Have some brief announcements for you. First of all, you know, they mentioned it earlier, but Saturday is Coffee with the Mayor. It's clear from some of the things said tonight that there are some questions that need to be answered regarding assessments. And so we have Fritz Kagi is coming to visit us, the Democrat-elect for Cook County Assessor. He's more than capable of answering all your questions. We had the opportunity to talk to him and hear from his office. They're very excited about coming here to speak to the Village of Dalton's residents. So I would ask you, every single person who is interested in your assessments and others, and anyone who you've talked to who have expressed concerns regarding assessments, this is the person that you would like to talk to. He will be with us at 8:30 a.m. I think he has another appointment to go to, but they said that he was going to spend a nice amount of time with us to make sure he was able to address all of your questions.
Yeah.
So
excuse me for interrupting, but we're expecting a huge crowd there Saturday, probably close to 200 people. So you may want to get there early because there's going to be a lot of questions for our new assessor-elect, Fritz Kagi. So.
All right. Now, we received many calls regarding the recycling situation. Of course, we know that on Greenwood it's been closed. So it gives us great pleasure to announce that Mayor Rogers and the Public Works Department are going to be setting up a program where you can bring all the things that you've emailed me. You've emailed me and Ms. Scott and called the Public Works Department, all these things that you want to bring in. Well, we finally have a program now, and I'm going to let the superintendent, Matt Stacy, Public Works Superintendent, speak a little bit about what's going on, and I'll be able to give you some details, whatever.
Yes, we have finally found a company to come out, help us do some recycling with all the electronics and everything that everybody keeps calling on. We're starting it tomorrow. You can come between the hours of 7:30 and 3 p.m. to the Public Works yard. And we're going to also do one every second Saturday between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. There are some flyers in the back on the table. The items that we accept are all printed on the side here. The items we cannot accept are large appliances, washers, dryers, refrigerators, no hazardous chemicals or waste or anything like that. When you bring your items, try and please, TVs and all that, not to have them piled up in boxes or whatnot. Bring them all out. We'll have guys at the yard. They'll assist you guys in unloading them if you need help unloading them. The only thing I ask is when you pull in, please pull in. Go into the office, just check in. They'll have somebody come outside and help you unload out of your car. But again, if you have any questions or whatnot, stop by, call, bring your items. We'll take TVs, computers, keyboards, everything except for the larger appliances.
All right.
Excuse me.
I have a question.
Okay, good. And one of the reasons that we closed the recycling center over there was the fact that some people that were doing rehabs and things thought it was a dump site. And what happened was they were dumping truckloads of drywall and wood and metal and everything like that, and it cost us to remove that. It was approximately $400 a dumpster, I believe, Matt, that's correct. And we've probably taken 10 to 12 dumpster loads out of there that people dumped items there that are not recyclable. So we closed it, and we were looking for another program. This program is going to work out well for us, where you can actually bring it right to Public Works. Go ahead, Trustee.
Thank you. Flat screen TVs. I see a lot of those sitting in front of people's homes because they can't lift it or move it. Do we go to people's houses to pick that up if the need be, or they have to bring it to Public Works?
If need be, if they need help, we can come and assist the residents on picking them up and bringing them to our yard ourselves. Yeah, please don't stick them out in front. If you do need help or whatnot, give us a call. We'll see when we can come out, get you all taken care of, and get that old stuff out of your homes.
Yeah, not the old stuff. Don't call here and want some moving service. So, because, that old stuff can be...
all your, just the electronics.
Yeah.
I ain't going to move your house now. Can't do that.
Yeah. Just electronic devices that that you may have. And, and if you see somebody put one out on the curb, call us so we can pick it up, because we pick it up from time to time on the curb.
Yes, I had a question, Superintendent. Is this restricted to Dalton residents only?
Yes.
No, it's for Dalton residents, but with this program, it's also up on the EPA website. So anybody that gets onto the EPA website will see that we're one of the collection spots in the suburbs. We do have a big semi-trailer, so it's not like we're going to run out of room. If the trailer does get full, all we do is call them up like a day before. They'll come out and they'll swap out the trailer for us, bring us another empty.
And
and it's free, no cost to the village.
Yeah, the dumpster that's there, I wouldn't call it a dumpster, Matt. It's got 4 different slots for different items.
Yes, that's got the paper, the aluminum, the glass, and all that. That you can still bring your recyclables, glass, your cans, newspaper. That still is in use. They do come and empty it when it gets full, so you can still bring that stuff also.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Very important though, the date and time. It's daily, from 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. And every second Saturday, we have Saturday hours as well. Some of you might not be able to make it during the week. So if you need Saturday hours, it will coincide with the same Saturday as we have Coffee with the Mayor. All right? So at 401 East 144th Street, Dalton Public Works Department, daily from 7:30 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. And then every second Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. This information is already on the website, and it'll also be on channel 499. And before you leave, we'll make sure that you get one of these flyers in your hands. Want to also let you know that we're coming up upon the time of the Dalton Community Outreach Gospel Fest, and I kind of want, Ms. Scott, I'd like for you to just say a little bit about it. I know we talked about it earlier, but she is really working hard on this every single year. Ms. Scott really puts a lot of effort into this, and we're getting reports that that people have been spreading rumors that it's being canceled and things of that nature, and so bad news spreads pretty fast, right? And so we want to make sure to have the opportunity to let you know that it is not canceled. It will be on Saturday, September 15th, and Ms. Scott is going to give you some information about the vendors. There's still space for vendors if you want to be a vendor at the Gospel Fest.
Good evening, everyone. We still do have space. We're looking for vendors. Feel free to call me. I'm here Monday through Friday. Give me a call on my cell phone if it's after office hours. We are looking for vendors. It's going to be Saturday, September 15th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. I'm also working to get some health screeners out on that particular day to give free blood pressure screenings and some other services and valuable information. So if you can, please come out. If you are a vendor, please reach out to me. My number is 708-201-3348, and we are going to have various churches throughout Dalton. They're going to be doing praise dancing. We're trying to fellowship in the community, so please come out and support this great event.
All right. And finally, one more announcement. Every year we participate in the Thornridge High School Avid Color Run for College. I know that our police chief, Robert Collins Jr., directly participated by running in it last couple of years. At least 2 years ago, I remember he ran and got the full effect of the color run. Ms. Scott did the same thing, ran and had the full experience of the color run. And we're asking you to participate in the color run as well. Mayor Rogers always has words of encouragement and guidance for the young students. The Avid Color Run for College will be September 22nd, 2018. The check-in is at 8:30 a.m. The color run begins at 10. It is at Thornridge High School, 15000 Cottage Grove. Now, you don't have to run. If you have health challenges, you can jog or walk at your own pace, but it's a family event. Everyone can come. You're being asked to register online, and 100% of the proceeds go to the Senior Scholarship Fund. It's really a good afternoon time. All ages are welcome. If you have the opportunity and a desire to help some of our wonderful young people and students here in Dalton who go to Thornridge High School, please make some time and fit that in your schedule. If there are any other questions, I thank you for your time and your attention.
Thanks, Shah. Okay, next thing on the agenda is what we've all been waiting for. Citizens address. Okay. Anyone that wants to address this body can come forward here.
Good Good evening, Mayor and trustees, residents of Dalton.
We're going to try to keep it reasonable. I'm not going to say 3 minutes. We're going to try to keep it a reasonable amount of time.
I'm just going to make a couple of announcements today. When I first started coming to these meetings a few years back, I came in my role as a director for NHS and bringing resources for the residents. Kind of got away from it because I got caught up in really what's happening in our village, and I'm still intrigued by it. But I wanted to do this because I received a call today. So NHS still offers assistance to homeowners that are struggling to make their mortgage payments. There's still money available to assist you if you lost your job, or if there's death of a title holder, or as a series of eligibility. I didn't bring all the requirements with me because I was off today. But if you're interested, I know there's some flyers on the table. If you know anyone that's struggling to make that mortgage payment, if a life event has happened, you can still get help. So I want to let that be known. Also, Cook County Health Systems has a program that we're partnering with them on. If you are in a household with a child 6 years or under, and your home was built prior to, was it 1978, you may be eligible to get an inspection for lead. And if there is lead found, they will come in and repair and make any remediations that are necessary. If it means replacing windows, doing gutters, wherever they're finding the lead, it's a free service. And a lot of folks did not take advantage of these services. They launched this back in, I want to say May. They've only gotten 2 applications. And I know Dalton has, excuse me, housing stock that was built prior to 1978. So even if you are a grandparent that watches your grandchildren for at least 5 to 6 hours per day for a period of time, you still may be eligible. I know we came in and we met with the media department and did a recording of it, so check out that whenever it's ready. So these things are available for homeowners. There are resources. There's also still resources available for homeowners who need to do home improvements on their house and may not have the full amount. This comes in the form of a loan, but there's a 50% grant, so up to $30,000 you can get repairs done to your house. The grant only covers $15,000, but you would have to repay the rest. So there are still options for people to make improvements on their homes, very reasonable rates. And also, perhaps Trustee Hinyard and I can get together and do some events to talk about some of the things that are available. And if there's other questions, we can just have some type of event here and let you know about everything that's available for homeowners. Excuse me. There's also monies available for first-time home buyers. If you know anybody interested in buying a house, you can reach out to NHS and we'll tell you what that's all about. There are some restrictions regarding this program, but the dollar amount is up to $15,000 to purchase a home. There are some preferred lenders. U.S. Bank is not one of them. So if you're working with U.S. Bank, you won't be able to get this grant. Okay. And lastly, now my NHS hat is off, and I'm going to put my resident hat on. I just want to ask a question. I wrote a note here, and Trustee Muhammad, you had made a comment that at one of the meetings where the residents came up and expressed that they did not want that ordinance to pass with the cuts that were suggested. And you said that the residents did not come up with solutions. We weren't invited to the table. So when you invite us to the table, perhaps we can work together and give you and offer some solutions. So anytime you want to hold a finance committee meeting and invite the residents, I'll show up.
Okay, yes, we do have finance committee meetings, as you're well aware, and we have to publish them publicly because by state statute we have to have 48-hour notice. So we have had finance meetings, and again, as you may know, many people don't come. We have them at 6:30 because there was a criticism having them too early. So we have them at the usual time, 6:30 p.m. But as you know, a lot of our people do not get involved in committee meetings. So we can't publish it anymore because you can only publish it with what we have, which is the cable access channel, internet, that type of thing. So we use all available resources to us to invite the public. And they're free to come and free to have their input because we have public address at every committee meeting, including finance.
And I don't know what's going on with the voice, but yeah, you do have the meetings, but my suggestion is when you want to make decisions and you want the input from the residents, I don't know that the last finance meeting brought up the subject of the cuts that were being thought about. So if you want our input, ask for it. I'll be there. I come to most every meeting that I can make if it's possible for me to be there. Well, I'm simply saying if there's decisions to be made and you want the public to know, public, you do have to come out, because local government impacts your daily lives more than the federal government or the state government.
Right.
So we have to come out and voice our opinion and say what it is we want, and we would trust that you try to do the right thing by the residents. That's it.
One of the things I'd like to say is that there has not been any regular finance meetings. If the residents know that if it was every first Monday of every month or whatever it was, you would get more attendance. But to have a finance meeting, just say, okay, we're going to have a finance meeting, and then post it on the window there 48 hours before. All these residents don't come to the village hall even though there's a finance meeting. So whether it's by design or whether it's by accident, whatever the case may be, I think before the last finance meeting, the last one was April 20th, I think it was, April 24th. So to get more participation, you have to have regular dates. Like everyone knows to be here every first and third Monday because of the board meeting. So if it was put in a regular time slot, I think there'll be more participation.
Mr. Lee, before you speak, just so everybody's aware, these are published on the internet, and they're email blast to everyone. So those are the only available resources we have. Not only the Finance Committee, all other committee meetings have no regular time slot. So we use all available media that's available to us to publish it.
Pardon me?
They're free to set a time slot.
Yeah, I mean, you could set a time slot if you want, just like we've got this time slot here for the regular board meetings. Every month, we're going to have a finance meeting on the third Wednesday of the month, or whatever. So there's nothing preventing that the schedule be put out there for those regular meetings. Go ahead, Mr. Lee.
My turn?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Greetings, Mayor, Board, city officials, and fellow residents. I don't know if you all heard that news blurb, because they pushed it off the news pretty quickly. They were saying that the South suburban area gets less return on their tax dollars that they send to Springfield than just about every other area in the city. The more affluent areas are getting 4 to 5 times more of revenue back in goods and services. True. Places like Orland Park, where y'all like to go spend your money. True. Places like that, they get much more money back from Springfield. My question is to the board and to the mayor: is there a way to get with this new government that may be coming in when Warner gets out, and maybe we can maybe get some changes made there? Are there any preparations? Have you all discussed anything about maybe increasing our share of the money that comes back from Springfield? That would be a great alternative to cutting department heads that we need much more than trustees.
Yeah. Well, there's not been any discussion on my end. I think that a good way to approach this is to through our legislators to try to put a bill in place, if possible, put legislation in place to try to get more of that funding to come back to the South Side.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. If all the local politicians, especially the ones in this area, can get together and put together a proposal to get comparable revenue that some of the ones at the top of the scale are getting, our problems would go along. If it doesn't solve our problems, it would go a long way towards solving those problems. And we wouldn't have to come here talking about chopping off heads of people who also, have vital interest to the community. And I know you say don't get emotional, but I ain't about throwing people out in the street, frankly. If it can be helped. If there are other alternatives, those need to be explored first and foremost. Secondly, on that same subject, I would like to know, I'm not familiar with every detail on the ordinance that the mayor vetoed, but are we talking department heads, or are we talking department staff, or are we talking about a combination of those? And at the end of that, my question would be exactly what percentage of the budget would this save? Would we save more money from cutting a couple of trustees? Would we save more money than maybe adjusting different salaries? I'm not just throwing this out here. I'm just trying to see what the impact would be, because we know what the impact would be if we start chopping all the department heads, because you know we already have difficulty with services as most of us already know. We mentioned roads, we mentioned schools, we mentioned all these things. You start chopping all these people, that's penny wise and pound foolish. That doesn't make a lot of sense to cut off the people that provide the vital services to people like us. Okay? Now, there has to be another way to do this, and I think one way to start on that is to get together with the other South Suburban mayors and stuff and so forth, get that report, and present it to whomever wins the governorship and that particular group that are going in. And I think we need to get on that now rather than wait until the last minute.
Yeah.
And get that done. That's just a suggestion.
Yeah.
That's some of the input you may be able to get at a financial meeting. You know, things of this nature, because there are ideas out here, but we don't really know the numbers like you all do, like the numbers that you all were talking about today. It may be available I haven't seen it on the internet or anything, about with the numbers, you know, how bad our budget is, how much we need, you know, the projections and things of that nature. You know, it's one thing to say, well, you can need a long-range plan, but you cannot plan without the facts. You can't plan. And we don't know these things. So it's up to you all to get this information to us. And if you're going to start getting input from all of us, you're going to have to start sharing the information with us. Okay, there's no other way to do that.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Lee. And to answer your question, it was department heads, it was personnel. Matter of fact, there are cuts across the board. Across the board means every department.
Yeah, I understand what across the board means.
10% non-personnel, to answer your question. We're looking for also non-personnel cuts, which means equipment, supplies, that type of thing. But we will have a budget coming up. It will be announced. And on September 17th, we'll have Mr. Vince Kankar here concerning that $1.3 million tax anticipation warrant. So you're absolutely right. You have to know the budget. I'm assuming that it's online, because it's supposed to be published, so it should be online, the budget that we're referring to, the one that was passed. But if not, we will have a budget, not a budget hearing, but a committee meeting coming up, and it'll be announced within the next couple of days or so, where the public is invited, and it'll be approximately 6:30 p.m., where we'll go over every line item like we were supposed to do at the August 10th meeting, which didn't happen. But for this next finance meeting, we will go over every line item of the budget.
But looking at the bigger picture, I strongly suggest you all get together and get with these other cities and see if we can get some of our money back.
Yes,
that will go up much further than just us cutting each other's throats in this village.
Yeah. You know, it was mentioned that this wasn't political. And last year, I think it was last year, some members of this board was going to vote to terminate my staff. So after the attorney mentioned the fact in regards to what litigation in the chart it would start, he went back and took a look and said, well, we're going to make it look like it's not just his staff. So we're going to cut some other people. But the other people we cut, we're going to cut because we think they associated with the mayor. And this is going to hurt some services. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I feel much more comfortable with the financial interpretation of our budget and whether we need to cut or not by using Trustee Jason House explanation. I mean, he's got the background, 15 years at the bank, working with financials, and to him and with our finance director, they're both saying we don't need to cut. So I don't know what else is behind this, but it certainly sounds political, and I mentioned that in my veto. So we're going to try to stop it, whether take an emergency motion in court to put a stay on this action by this board to stop this political rhetoric and political firing. And that's exactly what it is. So we have avenues. We have avenues, and we're going to exhaust every last one of them to try to stop this political retaliation, if you will, against me that's going to affect you. Go ahead, Diane.
Good evening, Mayor and Board and residents. Okay, first thing, you said that you got no input from the residents. First of all, we're not allowed to give input, and if we do give input, you guys don't listen to us anyway. That's number one. Okay, number two, okay, one of my inputs would be, why does a trustee board have their own lawyer? If you want a lawyer, you know what situation the village is in, pay for it yourself if you want to do something for the residents. Why are we paying for it? We don't have the money. Number two, we just gave one of your, you got two lawyers, right? Okay, okay. We just paid one of your lawyers $30,000 to get tax liens off for 6 houses. Why are we paying that? None of this money is coming to us, but we don't have the money. Okay. Now you're talking about suing the mayor because he won't sign over 18 houses. Now, people, that's 18 houses times $5,000 per house. But we don't have the money, but we have it if they want it.
But it's not. But it's not $5,000 a house.
Well, that's what they said before.
It's much more than that.
Okay.
So
I'm
they're suing me.
being generous then.
Yeah, they want to sue me, and
That's what I said, they're getting ready to sue you.
they have filed a lawsuit. It's up tomorrow. For I think it's tomorrow, or you don't know.
I don't know.
It's the return date.
It's a return date, so you have to.
Yeah, 4 trustees here. Trustee Mohammed.
We know who they are.
Trustee Stubbs. Some of the people may not know. Trustee Mohammed, Trustee Stubbs, Trustee Denton, and Trustee Pearson. Trustee Pearson have filed a lawsuit against me to force me to sign over the deeds to these houses that they gave to this BP Capital for nothing. For nothing. The village is not getting one dime from that. But you know what BP Capital going to get? They've already sold mostly all of them. And I'm hearing in the range from $30,000 to $40,000. Now figure that out times 18. Now we've been approached by investors and realtors that say, you know, Mayor, we'll take your vacant houses and we'll pay you money for them. So why should we give them away? Why should we give them away and not get one red dime or penny for it? You know? So you know what I want to know before I sign those documents?
Who's paying for the taxes?
No. I want to know who they sold them to and how much they got for it before I sign off on those deeds. Because I think that this village should not be providing a resource for a private entity to make that kind of money, and we don't get anything for it.
Okay, I think that this trustee board, they need to lead by example. Just don't do a lot of talking. There's things that you can do to help this budget. Okay, another solution. It takes more money to pay overtime than it does to pay regular pay. With the amount of budget that we're paying overtime, we can have more than 2 police officers. We can have more than 1 fire department. We can afford to make our village safe. Okay? Now, the last question, Mayor, is for you. I want to understand what this email blast is about. I want to set it to rest. Now, are they allowed to use the system to do the email blast, but they have to have their own list, or do they want to use your list? Is that what the thing is about?
Over the years that since I came into office, we built a lot of relationships, and we built a lot of requests for doing certain things, and we ask when we have people attend our events for their phone numbers and their emails so we can contact them when we have events. And some people have emails, some people don't. Some people we have to call. But you know, on some of the things that, you know, I like to do and go forward with, they cut the budget on, you know. But then again, they want to use our access in our emails to notify the things that they have to get done. So I think it's a two-way street.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, the question is, okay, the question is, if they form their own list, because see, people, when they sign to give you their email address, they sign it up to give it to you, not to share it. I wish you would have had a disclaimer on there, else I would have never gave it to you. But I don't think that you can really give out other people's email address if they only gave it to you. I mean, you may have to talk to the lawyer about it. And if it's the list, why can't you guys form your own list? I mean, is it just the, I mean, if they had an email list, could they use that blast system?
Yeah.
Okay, then, well, why do they keep saying that it's the mayor? If you are that strongly and want to get your information out, guess what? You'll get out there and get email addresses just like he did. There's no reason to keep jabbing at the, I'm so sick of hearing, we don't have access to the email blast. Well, no, you got access to the email blast. You don't have access to his email addresses. So let's let that rest.
You know, in I hate, you know, like Trustee Muhammad sometimes, where the mayor never answers me. Well, I mean, answer those emails when you want to threaten me. It behooves you. Come on. You know, I'm not getting that back and forth stuff like that. So, and you know, there was talk about me not putting anything in the budget or participating in the budget. Do you really think they listen to me?
Nope. Nope. Nope.
Have they been listening to me?
No.
Why? There's so many other things I can get done in the village here rather than sit and say, we ain't gonna do it. We're gonna listen to you no way. So, and you know, the village attorney, John Murphy, says their budget. It's their budget. They got the votes, and you know, I believe it's not their budget. I believe it's Trustee Muhammad's budget.
Okay.
You know.
Mayor.
So anyway, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, and then lastly but least, now, Muhammad, you always bringing up something is political. Why is it that you have to bring Mr. Kemp in to go over Ms. Redmond? She knows this city. We have Mr. House here. I don't care if he volunteered. I don't care what he do, but he's working for you. He's not working for these villagers, and neither are you. I mean, you're the first one. Look at your body language. I'm, oh, my back hurt. Okay, yeah, whatever. You know, some of the things that you guys say, you really insult the intelligence of these residents. So that's all I have to say.
Hello, Mayor, trustees. I just have a question. Well, I called up here the other day about the recycling thing, and they said they didn't take tires. So I Googled and found out who took tires, and I don't know who I told, but I thought I hear it mentioned today because they're right there in Riverdale.
Yeah.
They got $2 to drop off some tires because I see people dumping them in the streets.
Right.
Yeah. So
you know, when you go to buy new tires, you have to pay for disposal.
Yeah.
Because now they don't
want to take.
They don't take them for free.
Right.
You know, and so we have to pay for disposal too. So
well,
that's why you'll see certain areas, you know, people are dumping their tires because if they go get new tires and they don't want to pay the disposal fee, they put them in the trunk, and then at night they come and they throw them in the back of your house or something
well,
like
I just
that.
gave them a place to suggest to people when they call because I asked them, did they have a suggestion? They was like, no.
Okay. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome. My other thing is I live on 150-32 Beachview.
Uh-huh.
Behind me is the railroad tracks.
Right.
It's wild trees, everything coming over my 6-foot fence. Who maintains that?
I don't know.
Me, because I've been there 20-some years and I've been paying somebody to do it. I'm kind of tired of it.
We can check. I'm quite sure behind your property there's an easement. I'm not sure how far it would be. Usually it's, I would say about 10 feet, 8 to 10 feet. So directly behind your property, and you can look on your survey if you have one, you can see how far your property goes back behind your fence.
My fence is where my property ends.
Usually they don't put the fence on the property line.
Okay.
Yeah, because you don't want any encumbrances on your title or your deed when you want to sell the property. So they usually put it inside the property line. So I would suggest if you have a survey, to look at the survey and you can see actually how far your property line goes back beyond that fence. And the rest maybe is a railroad, and we can try to address that.
Yeah, because I tried to call them. They didn't, I call them every year.
Yeah. Well, we've been having a problem with them too, because there's certain areas right away that the railroad has that they haven't maintained.
Right.
And so there's been some tickets issued, but openly, they need to do a better job to clear their right-of-ways. So that's
So it's up to me then, huh?
Pardon me?
It's up to me to find out who owned it.
Well, I would strongly suggest you to see where your property line is, and then from that point on, if it's a railroad property, we can try to, additionally make some comments to them to address it. Okay, all right, that's even better.
Thank you.
An engineer,
All right.
take a look at it.
That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
To the mayor and the board, I'm representing Melanie's Fitness Center, and I just wanted to come and thank you that you were a man of your word. You said that you was going to send someone and start working on it, and they have been there working on it, but the process is really slow.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to find out, do you have a time frame when the pool will be up working?
Well, we've ordered the items, and it took like three weeks to get the items. It just came in, I think it was last Thursday or Friday. He's been doing some of the patching on the pool, and that's a lengthy process to get it done and dried out. So we can't paint it. I think he's going to paint it with epoxy paint to seal it. But I think most of the patching is done now, and they probably will start painting the pool by the end of this week. So we're probably looking at maybe 2 weeks for the pool to be up. Okay. But it's going to have to be re-inspected. So once it's re-inspected, and they're checking off all the items at the last inspection that was in violation. So, but we're going to clean it up. They're doing the painting now. Okay. They're steam cleaning all the locker room areas, the spa, bathroom area and stuff like that. So it'll be up and running.
The reason why I'm asking is we're losing a lot of people.
They'll be back.
Because the majority of the people that goes there use the pool, and they're older people like myself.
Yeah, I think they'll be back because, as you know, a lot of the new fitness centers don't have pools.
Right.
Because they want to get rid of the liability of somebody possibly drowning or getting hurt and injured in the pool. So I think once it's all done and everything, they'll be back.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor, board, I'm also representing Melanie. And again, I would like to thank you for your presence, because we have been seeing your presence around the fitness center. And thank you for being a man of your word. That goes a long way. And one other thing that I would like to add, since we're not utilizing the gym like our membership that we pay for, when the pool do get up and running, can the members be compensated some kind of way, like with a month or two of membership, because we wasn't able to use the pool for that length of time?
I don't know about that. To be honest with you, I can't give anything away. So it would have to. I would say it need to be brought for the board to see if they wanted to provide some compensation for you for that.
Well, how do I present that to the board? Do I ask the board now? I mean, because it's not fair to us either. Yeah. You all are still taking our monies for those months that the pool was down. Yeah. So, it was money came out of our pockets.
So you say maybe 50%? Because you use the other part?
Yeah, well, the pool is the main thing. Yeah. So, I
think there'd be any refunds that are given back would probably have to go before the board.
Well, we're not looking for refunds, a monetary refund. We're just looking for an extra month or two towards our membership.
Okay.
So how do I get a...
We'll figure that out.
Okay.
We'll figure out a way to have that addressed.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Mayor and residents. I just moved to Dalton about 4 years ago.
Okay.
And bought my house 2 years ago on 144 Place by Chicago Road.
Okay.
I've been coming here for more than a month already, addressing an issue that I have. I live next to the bar.
Uh-huh.
I can't find parking. It's an weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday issue that I have.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Chicago Road is full of cars. 144 Place is full of cars, and I have to park in 145th when I live on 144.
Okay.
I have 2 kids that I have to be walking with them in the middle of the night. Well, not in the middle of the night, but maybe like at 10 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
because there's no parking. I addressed this to Jason, to Sandra. I've been calling them, no answer. So, I mean, I'm kind of like a little bit bothered already.
Where are you? You on the same side of the bar?
Yes, right next to it.
Right behind it?
Yes.
Are you on? You're on 144th place.
Place.
Okay. What the board can do is look into maybe establishing an ordinance for residential parking.
If I can speak to that as well. Since our conversation, and I do recognize the conversation, I've spoken to the owner of the facility, and he's claimed to be working on the parking, but I'm not putting a lot of stock into that. We do have on our upcoming board meeting, the next one, which is a committee of the whole. I spoke with the clerk that we will have that on the agenda for permit parking, as we've discussed. So that will be up for a discussion so that the entire board can hear more about the situation and find some direction. There could be some challenges with the permit parking, not so much the voting side, but the implementation, because permit parking, even if approved, will require getting all of the signs, making sure that we know the addresses for the homes, how many permits are we going to give out, and then consideration as well from yourself and the neighbors on if you do have people coming to visit you, you only have so many slots, and that could also propose some other challenges. So those are things that need to be talked out.
Yes, I mean, I understand. I mean, families have parties, birthdays, etc., you know, but like I said, this is an issue of every single weekend. Like I have told you, if I knew, if that was a bar, I would have never bought that house, you know, in the first place. Because I even put cones, I put the garbage can. Once I get there, they took it out already and took the spot. I mean, so at this point, it's like, I don't know what to do no more.
Okay.
I mean, I suggested, like you said, some, like in the city of Chicago, permits something, you know, because, I mean, I'm paying taxes here too, and
right.
My husband, he's already like, he wants to sell the house already because he's fed up already.
Yeah. Okay. We'll address it, ma'am. You have her number? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I don't know if y'all can hear me on this mic. That house by the library, what's to that house by the library? And the village responsible for going there, cutting the grass and stuff. And this house that you all was nice enough to go back there, and don't get me wrong, that's a terrific job y'all did on that landscape off that greenhouse over here off Sheridan. But why would they put all the debris right behind the old OBGYN clinic? They piled it all back there.
Man.
I mean,
our people did that?
My thing is, I was so humble to see it done that I didn't even think about it until a week or so, and I was like, wow, why is all this debris, you know, back here? Now we got these little signs that say people gonna be charged $750 some odd dollars for littering. Who responsible for going around overseeing that? Because out of curiosity, I wondered how much it cost to post those signs up. But now I'm even more curious about who enforces it.
Now you'd ask me 5 questions.
And get ready to go 3 more, because I don't want you messing with my 3 minutes, because I ain't heard nobody have to do nothing with 3 minutes. So I want to stay.
I made a comment in regards to the 3 minutes, but you give me 5 questions. Why don't you ask me one at a time? Let me answer them, because I won't be able to remember them all.
No. I'm respecting. Because
Okay.
see that stuff where you use time answering them questions. You can't do it when people call. I ain't gonna use the people's time. I ain't gonna have people telling me they want to get my minutes back from me. But this suing the mayor, This ain't gonna cost no more money than things already unnecessarily cost out here. And this house situation, everybody on that board, no offense when I say that, it seemed to be a whole lot of people on the board that's able to get hold of these houses, where people that want to buy them, they literally had to get a camel from the desert to ride him in and promise him some water to get it. Now, the reason I only came into the meeting is because I was meeting with some people right here. They gonna call here tomorrow wanting to know about purchasing this cable company, and on the fact that they met me at 7:30 tonight on my bike. And here's the one thing I said.
Purchasing a cable company.
They interested in it. I don't know about person, but they very, very interested. It's not their first time. But I assured them that they would get a real professional individual. Because, yeah, they're going to let it be known that Ms. Hill is the reason. Because it's two people. I'm warning them to come out here. I really would like somebody come get this show, but the two people I'm warning, they not there. But they interested in this cable company, and my thing is, I'd be glad when you all get to the point, y'all make good deals when it comes to y'all houses, y'all business, and anything concerning you all. And I don't be meaning to be offensive when I say this. But what is so blinding that you all can't seem to do it for a community, and you pass these people every day and it don't bother you all? And you know, me saying stop, that's got to be between you, God, and your conscience. But why is it that you all want to keep doing this over and over and over again and not allowing no opportunity whatsoever? The reason I don't come and want to answer is because you all rarely give me an answer, you know, when I contact you all. So then I have to go to people that got a little bit more power than y'all, you know, serve y'all subpoenas and, you know, make y'all have to come and give statements and depositions. That's crazy. That's crazy. So when these people contact you all, I sure hope they don't tell me, Miss Hill, you know, just nobody to get involved with. Now, if you really sometime want to answer me back, my phone number is always listed over there. That's why I don't stand here no more and allow you all to chat up my time. So if y'all, anybody want to get back to me, my phone number listed over there, y'all.
Good evening, everybody, to the mayor, to the trustee.
Georgia, before we go, I'm been in negotiations to try to get that building tore down. The Comcast building, it was hit very hard in an accident, but the whole roof has caved in inside there. So I'm not sure about the structure, integrity of the structure there. So, but I'd like to try to get it demoed this year.
Okay, we was talking concerning Melanie. Who's in charge? Who is the person that's over the chairperson of Melanie?
There is no chairperson over Melanie.
Okay, so, I mean, I've been gone for a few days.
Yeah, there's no chairperson over Melanie. I'm not sure if you were here when some of the members came in and voiced their
oh yeah, I came back. I drove all that day to get back here for that meeting.
Their concerns about some of the issue at the Melanie, and they're being addressed now.
Okay, and to Muhammad, I guess I won't say the mayor second, but I'll just say Muhammad, because most of the questions we have to go to you for them, right? Because we can't ask Mayor Roger no question. We have to ask Muhammad.
No. You
okay, concerning, well, I mean, you don't have no voice either.
Well, the thing is, you know, the pool had been down for some time, and some of these trustees were aware of it. And I guess, and I think it was Trustee Muhammad's idea to try to use those members to come in here and crack on me.
Oh, okay. Well, you're proving your point, so we appreciate that.
So at any rate, they could have put something in progress to get the place going. So hey.
Okay, my next question is concerning the finance meeting they supposed to have next time. Is this going to be after the veto or before? Do you have any idea when the next finance meeting going to be?
We don't know the exact date yet to answer your question.
Well, how will we know?
As I stated before, it'll be published the way we normally publish them.
Okay, because I'm very concerned. I've just imagined what this village would be like without, for instance, excuse my expression, but Miss Liz Scott And, you know, the head is always somebody that's so important to the village. That's what really aggravates me. Why is it somebody that's so important to the village that they want to get rid of? If they get finance for the true lawyer and all that stuff, look like they should be able to find something to keep our good people on. So I don't think we should have to, wait until, I can't wait till the next election, but I'm saying, but I got to be here until the next election. Okay, so we want to see if we can get some help. We really want to keep our good people on. All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees, and residents. My question this evening was that I called earlier about a 1 o'clock meeting, and I was told there was no meeting. But I hear that there was a 1 o'clock meeting today pertaining to extended from last Monday's meeting. Was there a meeting today at 1 o'clock?
There was an election.
Exactly.
There was an election board meeting today.
At 1 o'clock?
Yes.
Was it posted, Mayor?
Doesn't it? Was it posted? Okay. You were at last.
I was here, but I called. I didn't know.
You were here at the last meeting, and they mentioned at that meeting that the meeting was going to be today.
Sure did.
Yeah. So whoever answered the phone today, they probably was not aware of the election board meeting because it wasn't a regular scheduled meeting.
I looked on my app. It wasn't on my app. I looked for the events that would happen today.
We don't have to post that. That's not a village event. It's a challenge with for the election board and the petitions. Yeah, that were
All
filed.
right. So it was in fact held this today. I'm just asking, please. And the other thing was that Trustee Stubbs reported the dedication for Mayor Shaw. I didn't see that.
Ms. Creighton, you're not going to see everything.
But I don't think, you know what, what you wanted to be funny if something happened to you. I like to know about things that happen in the place that I live. And I'm disappointed that it wasn't, because I didn't want to miss that. There are things that I don't want to miss. And I check the things that you say, that our app and the cable channel and all those things. I don't think it's funny. I just want to know that if you would please consider posting the things that every citizen needs to know. I'm not saying just me.
Ms. Creighton, we post a lot of stuff. And I don't think any resident is going to see 100% of everything that's posted or put out there. Now, tomorrow they can post a thing on the door for a special meeting. Mm-hmm. If you don't come to this village, you won't see it.
But required by law, you should not. That shouldn't be posted somewhere else other than on the door.
It's in, correct me if I'm wrong, a conspicuous place. I think the statute says.
Meetings have to be posted.
Posted on the website.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just meetings that have to be posted on the website. Nothing else has to be posted legally on the website. Okay, thank you. That was a eye-opener. And also, Mayor, I know you said that you didn't know when you would open up Fire Station number 2,
mm-hmm.
but is there any reason that there's a reservation on opening back up that other station?
Well, if you've been here at every meeting, as you discussed, as this board discussed what type of financial condition it is, and the long list of things that they want repaired over there, how do we spend the money? Where do we spend the money? I think with the move of the second station, they moved to the first station. I don't think there's been any delay in service, and I think it's working out well.
But you know what? I think that anyone that knows that there's a call, I think you said at the last meeting, there's a call that made and you time the response. I think it's unfair for citizens to be paying taxes and someone decides that they're not going to open the second fire station because of what? I'd like for the trustees to tell me why that fire station, what violations are there, and why can it not be open, please.
I just have one more question. Trustee Muhammad, I know you said that we're going to have another financial committee meeting and we don't know the date. Is it possible that we can talk about a date as long as it happens before the next open meeting?
It'll be before the February 17th meeting. That's the best I can give you for
February?
now, because the reason February. I'm sorry. Woo, I say
please,
February.
please.
This next board meeting, which will not be a cow meeting, because the trustees are going to make it a regular board meeting, by the way, because there was a misnomer that it will be a cow. It will not. It'll be a regular board meeting. But before that meeting, which is September 17th,
right,
which is about approximately 2 weeks from now, we will have the finance meeting between now and before the 17th of September.
Okay, great. That's all I needed. Thank you.
One reason I think that some of these board members want to change it from a committee of the whole is because they cannot vote to override my veto at a committee of the whole meeting. So they want to rush, override my veto to get rid of the targeted people. As Trustee House stated, it's a committee of the whole meeting, but you heard what the other mayor said. They're going to change it from a committee of the whole to a regular board meeting to vote on that veto, to override my veto, which means they would like to get rid of these targeted people quicker than they should. So, well, that's where the court has to come in. You know, we're going to have to see what type of remedies we can seek to put maybe some type of emergency order in, emergency function in regards to putting the stay in order.
Good evening.
Carol.
Good evening. I'm Carol Lloyd, and I've been a resident since '91. But what I wanted to say, because at first I wasn't going to say anything, but some just keep pushing me. But I just want to say that I'm asking God to move on the hearts of this board, to soften your hearts and give you a spirit of humility. And also understand that when you cut off the mayor's staff, when you cut them, you're cutting the residents. The reason I say that you're cutting the residents because we voted for him, and he has her and them, and they help him so well. And the things that are done because of what they bring to the table. And you all don't bring anything to the table that's beneficial. So, you know, I just couldn't sit there any longer, but I had to come up and give my piece of what I feel. You know, and you sit up here and then you sometimes you just treat residents when they come up with such disrespect. Such disrespect. When you should be given respect because you're there because we voted for you all. And I guess you should remember that another voting is coming up. And the main thing is just remember that you reap what you sow. Just remember that. If you don't remember anything else, you reap what you sow. And so now you think that you want to get rid of people and then you're going to get up here and run everything and everything's going to run smoothly. But it's not. Because just what you put out is what's going to come back to you. Now, if you want this village, if you really concerned about this village, you want everything to really to go forward, then what you do is put down your no, I don't want to say feelings, but your malice. Put down your malice and all the other things that spur you to do the things that you do out of vengeance and just whatever, and begin to work with the mayor, because he's the one that's in leadership. He's the leader, and so God has given him a vision for this village. So what you're supposed to do is find out what that vision is and try to help and work toward getting it done, and then work out your differences. Forgive one another, okay? Forgive one another, because with all this bickering, all it's going to do is just continue to divide, continue to tear up. Then what happens when everything is all tore up and then the good people gone, hello, Ford Heights.
Good evening, Mayor, Board, and residents. I just want to add on to just what the young lady just said. When I watched the TV on the 10th, I noticed that Mr. Muhammad's attitude is very arrogant while other people up here are talking. He is so arrogant that he's turning away, looking back there on his cell phone, or on his cell phone. He's not interested in anything that anyone has to say. He has to remember, although some board meeting nights, there's not many people here, but a lot of people do watch it on Channel 4, and they see what is going on. And my other thing I want to say is that I can't understand. I worked on the mayor's last election, and I worked with you, Mrs. Denton, and your husband. I've been on the credit board on my job. I've been on different things on my job. But when I got on it, I was there long enough to learn what I was doing before I voiced anything against anybody. I was totally surprised at you at the first meeting that you voted no with the rest of the board members on everything. And you cannot tell me that you knew what was going on. I will never believe that. I'm not going to say that nobody's ignorant or smart or anything, but we have to be neutral. And tonight, even for you to be a new board member, to go along with everybody else and to vote on not allowing the mayor to have veto power, and you are a new kid on the block. I just cannot understand that. I've been a new kid on the block on organizations that I was on. I sat back, read, and did my homework before I made a vote with the rest of the people, because the rest of the people want you to go along with them, and that is usually not the right way to do things. I was very disappointed, and I was very disappointed tonight in the voting. And then another thing, what gives whoever thought it is to sell the fitness center? Who has that power? Did you all bring it to the board? Did you bring it to the people? Say, do you want to sell this? Who gave you the power to do this? It's like you are the mayor. You are running this show. You didn't win, but you are trying to run this show. And that's all I have to say.
Good evening, Mayor, everyone. I just had something just came to mind. So this is for you, Trustee Denton. If, in fact, Public Works Superintendent, which is, I'm assuming is Matt Stacy, if he is going to be removed, then on the 28th of September, Public Works Supervisor possibly is being removed. Who's going to run Public Works? Who will that be?
It's my understanding that there will be a person that is of senior authority that would be over the rest of the workers. So everything will fall into place, but we don't have exact layout right now because this thing is not settled yet. So
okay, so if it were settled and you had to put somebody in that position, not an easy job to do.
No, it's not.
So there's got to be somebody in mind Now, I'm sure that there are union people over there, and so if there are union people, there's some contractual issues about giving out promotions or stuff like that. So you got to have a plan. Don't wait until tomorrow to find out what you should have done yesterday, because that means if there's nobody there and the snow falls, who's going to shovel snow? So I know somebody up there has had to have talked about this, and I only picked that particular one because I know about the other three. You know, what's going to happen, those would just be probably faded away. Don't know what's going to happen with the media department, because now, well, I don't get the newspaper, so I can't read about anything. I don't get the little plackets in my lawn anymore about beautifying Dalton. I don't get that.
That wasn't paid for by the village. I paid for that.
I know, but I think what happened with that, I was told, because it said the mayor, that was the problem, so it doesn't exist at all.
It's going to exist again because
Trustee Pearson told me once that he had something to do with putting them out as well.
He contributed when he was on my side. But since then, no. But there are going to be some signs. I ordered them this week.
Okay.
And they should have went out last month, but with all this other stuff going on and stuff. So, but at any rate, with these cuts of department heads, I think some of the trustees that's promoting this fail to realize and are forgetting that I appoint the department heads. So as far as a senior public works person running the department, that's not going to happen. It's my appointment, and that's one thing they can't take away from me. Now, you can cut the salary, whatever you want to do, but it's my appointment.
Okay, so then that answers the question that apparently Trustee Denton didn't know. If the mayor appoints.
He appoints it.
So somebody's not telling you the whole story. Because if in fact you were part of that budget, part of sitting down discussing it, then you should be able to answer every question.
And I answered
you
it
can't.
to the
No,
best
you
of my
didn't, because you
ability.
said it's my opinion or my thought or the way I was told.
Well,
but
what
you
more
should
would
know.
they base it on? I mean, if that's what was discussed and that was my understanding, that's all I can relate back to you.
Okay,
no,
so
I told and I shared what I knew, but I'm not going to argue back and forth. Thank
okay,
you.
I understand. So the other thing about that, so then the public works manager, is that a new title, or mayor? Is that your appointment?
Well,
because there's a change in the salary.
I think the thought process was, if we change it from public works superintendent to public works manager, we can't get sued for it being because that particular job was lined out. But from my understanding, it's just disguised is a manager, but it's the same thing that the public works superintendent will do. And they made a cut in it, cut in the salary part, but it's still my appointment. So I'm going to appoint the manager.
Okay. All right. Well, I like to see that because, there's Matt Stacy and there's John Conway.
Yeah.
So, who do you end up with? And like I was saying about the media, your opinion, Trustee Denton, who will now handle the media center?
Outsource.
Outsource. Is there a plan for outsource already?
Not to my knowledge.
So when will that be? When will that be done? After the fact, if in fact this occurs, will you look for someone after the whole thing is shut down?
My understanding is in the process.
And who does that?
Have been done.
Okay, so who's the one that's on that committee? Who's looking for the outsourced people for the media center? Okay, so
this is just another form of trying to cut the communication from the village. They cut out the newspaper. Everybody don't have smartphones. A lot of the seniors like to get the news the old-fashioned way, to get the newspaper. So that's been cut out of the budget, and every other thing that contributes or involves activity for the residents, whether it's activity for the residents or communication for the residents, has been cut out and cut short. So they don't want you to know. Keep you in the dark. Oh, the mayor ain't doing nothing, you know, because if you don't get the news and doing the things, and if you've watched Channel 4, you've seen so many things that we've done in this village, because I make sure that it gets out and Shot gets out, and we go out and we want to try to bring to you what we do to what happens in the village, you know. So I mean, from street improvements, sidewalk improvements. They just did Lincoln. Some of you may notice at night there's some limited street lighting there, but they put markers down in the middle of the street, reflective markers, so you can see where you're going at night through the village. So, and those are the type of things we try to promote and let the residents know. But you're trying to cut our information system. So, go ahead, Elizabeth. I'm sorry, Pat, finish.
Yeah, okay.
Did you want to
so
say?
I respect your position, but as I mentioned the last time, you're a target now. So you're going to have to start to get prepared, because whenever I stop to think about something, I know it's a lot of folks that think about it, I think about stuff in my sleep, and it may not come out for a couple of weeks later, but I'm going to have a couple more questions for you. And I would like for you to say what you know to be true for a fact. And I'm going to ask you about that media center and who could potentially be running it. And I would certainly hope that you could give me an answer. I don't want to talk to Trustee Muhammad because I know his plan. Okay, so I know he knows, but I want to talk to Trustee Denton to make sure that she knows.
Well, Pat, you know that part of that cut that they put in place is for a clerk in the water department.
Right, yeah,
No.
and you know that could very well be me because I'm very vocal, but
Yeah.
hey, but I can tell you I'm not the one.
So,
You know.
but
You know,
if that happens, then we're going to make a decision who's going to leave.
Okay, all right, thank you.
April.
How's everybody doing today?
April.
I noticed Trustee Denton. My name is Edward Steve, if you don't know.
Order, please.
I'm the media director who runs the media center. And Denton, you said they're going to outsource it. That's all him. That's all him. I want to remind people, you know, being that my department's about to be independent contractor, I'm about to lose my insurance. So I have to get all my doc's appointments out the way, all my MS specialists out the way, because they're about to take that. You know I'm sick, and you gonna vote with him because he's mad at me? All I'm saying is that he's playing y'all three. He's playing y'all. I got that side camera over there. He said you could see him telling Stubbs, "Oh, don't say this. Oh, no, say that." You can see all that, and y'all let this man play on y'all. So you gonna let him take my insurance and outsource it? He can't get down and do what I do. Believe me, I know. All he can do is try to find somebody that I possibly know, but they still can't get down and do what I do.
And I got to let them in the media center, so don't worry about it. I got the key.
To say that they're going to outsource it, that means you're listening to him, but he don't know nobody. Anybody he knows, I know. So they're going to come to me and say, "Hey, you know he's trying to get me this job to do your job." So you keep following that man. Pearson, come on. You can't even look me in the eye knowing I need my insurance. And keep in mind, my MS is a progressive disease. So I just got some bad news where my MS is progressing.
Stress.
But I'm about to lose my insurance. And Pearson, you okay with that? You really okay with that? In the name of, because when Trustee Muhammad lost, he figured since I can't be married, I got to get 4 people with me so I can run things. And it's just disappointing, man. Good Lord. I can't believe you just said they don't outsource it. He had you read the media center resolution. You didn't know nothing about the media. But he used you because he couldn't do it. And y'all letting this play you like that. Trustee Tiffany Henry was smart enough to get off that boat. and say, oh, I'm not going with that boat because that boat is sinking. I just said, come on, use your brain. Use us right. Knowing that you know my family, Pearson. But hey, let this man go ahead and, he'll be out of office pretty soon. Then this man had a whole big speech, said, oh, this is not political, and took all the political jabs at the mayor. Talk about bankruptcy. He took all them political jabs and just said it's not political. Come on, you can't have it both ways. Either it's political or it's not. Take the emotion out of it. He's super angry. And he don't think people see this? He don't think people see how crazy that sounds? It's not political, and they take a bunch of political jabs. So, but God is in charge. I'll be straight. But he can't do what I can do in the media center. You got to get somebody who knows what they're doing in the media center and pay them.
And I'm going to tell you this.
And have the codes to do it all.
And if you outsource
ultimately, you got to pay me.
Yeah. And if you outsource it, I can call Ed, Elizabeth, a number, Matt, a lot of these people that they want to get rid of. Outsource. Sunday, midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. They don't look at the clock at 5 o'clock when it's time to leave. They take away from their families their time. This weekend, I'm going to give you a perfect example. This weekend, I asked them to help me do some things while they're off duty, not working on it. And they left their families and got out there in the rain and helped me. And you don't find that in people today. That's why what we do, what comes out of the mayor's office, all the communication comes out of the mayor's office, is because they do it regardless of how much time it takes to do it. And they do it with a smile. I have not one time in the 5 years I've been in office been rejected by these people and asked them when I ask them to do something that may concern a resident. We get a mercy call from a resident, call Matt, I call Scott, and they go. Scott, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, things happen here at the village, no heat, he's out here, and they want to get rid of Scott. Who do we call? ABC? Come on out here, ABC, and fix the heat over in the police department. And bring that $7,500 bill with you. And we get this stuff done on salaries. And for Ed, and with Ed thought he found a home here. And he believed in Dalton to come out here and buy a home in Dalton. Now you want to uproot this man's family?
Outsource.
Because and then say it ain't political.
It's very political.
Ain't political, nothing personal.
And that second camera we already been in the communication to do that. But NBC man over there knows the camera's always rolling. So if you on the phone while somebody's talking, or if you in the back there in the mirror fixing your tie while somebody's talking,
or you want to use a
that's on you.
If you want to use a four-letter word towards the mayor,
after mayor, he knows the camera's rolling. You should know that. He knows that.
Just remember, Edward, what God has for you, He is for you. That's right. No matter what
I just have one more thing to say.
Okay. All right, we're gonna cut.
I know you got to go.
Good. Yeah.
But
put us. Yeah.
When you made this decision to do the cut, and you had the people that you want to replace them with, say for instance, Ed, you said source it out. Was Ed doing a good job?
Yes.
Was Mrs. Scott doing a good? The ones that you want to let go, I'm going to ask you a flat question. Were they doing their job?
In this case,
answer me. Were they doing their job excellently? If you're employee, I'm a supervisor. If an employee is not doing a good job, he does not get a good rating. He knows he's got to step up his game. Were they doing a good job? What are you going to replace them with? You're going to source it out? You're a new kid on the block. How do you rate him? And you're a new kid on the block. You cannot do it because you do not know his work ethic and his work.
Barbara, give him a chance to answer. Give him a chance to answer, Barbara.
Pardon me?
Give a chance to answer.
You cannot do it when you only, how long have you been in office? You cannot say he has not done his job well and I will source it out. You cannot do it.
Barbara, give him a chance to answer.
Miss Barbara.
Miss Trustee Denton.
Miss Barbara.
Yes.
You giving me a whooping, and I'm gonna respect you, but I'm not gonna argue with you.
I'm not arguing.
Okay,
I'm just
so-
trying to make a point.
Okay, your point-
I'm not arguing. I'm just trying to make a point. That's all I'm
And I
trying to
respect
do.
you for making a point, but your point has been made. All of the citizens that have gotten up and berated me for whatever reason, I just jump on Denton night. I don't know. Your point has been made. It's been heard. It's been received. I hear you. I understand you. But get off of Denton tonight, please. Y'all on me. Okay, I'm taking my punishment. I'm taking my whooping tonight. But okay.
But you go along with the
I did not
program.
turn on. See, you want to argue? I'm not gonna argue. I'm not.
Okay.
I don't do that.
This man he's the news media. Show me where he does his job.
Barbara.
Show
Okay.
it.
All right. We're going to cut that off. All right. It's not about job performance.
That's what it's supposed to be about.
Yeah, but it's not about job
When
performance.
you
These
cut
cuts.
somebody, it must be about job performance.
Yeah. Not here. It's political.
That's all.
All right.
That's
Go
all
ahead.
I'm
Elizabeth
asking.
wanted to
That's
say
all I'm
something
saying.
real quick.
Why do you the majority go along with it if it's not about job performance?
Politics. Politics gets dirty sometimes. More times than none. All right, Elizabeth wanted
I
to say
just
something.
quickly
Barbara.
wanted to add something. Everyone here talked about day-to-day operations and how are we going to get snow plowed and everything, but nobody has figured into the long-term projects. There's several long-term projects on the table that some of us have been working on that are now going to be tabled indefinitely, things that are very time sensitive, like the flooding going on in the community. Has anyone inquired as to any of the trustees and what they're doing for flooding implementation? I have several projects on the table, one of which Ron Smith Robinson Engineering assisted in drafting, which addresses green infrastructure. Another one, which the day after, or actually we got it, we found out we were awarded the day that we were lined out, was a $600,000 award given by Tony Preckwinkle for a Dalton freight study. I would be interested to know if any of the trustees know what WA11 stands for and how we received the $600,000. That was a study that that I spearheaded along with Matt Stacy, Ron Smith from Robinson Engineering, and when people talk about us working with other mayors in various communities to get things done, that was a project that we worked on in conjunction with mayors in adjacent municipalities, and it has to do with EMS services and overpasses being built, and how we're trying to resolve and put in quiet zones. So I would like to know if anyone's asked any of the trustees if they know what WA11 is, why we were awarded the $600,000, what's going on from there. I also have other projects that I'm working on to address the larger part of the east side of Dalton for flooding, something that I've been dealing with, and I implemented the Rain Ready Steering Committee. That wasn't just for fun or for show. I worked with U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. I've worked with Morton Arboretum, the forestry, urban forestry, and we actually have also implemented with Ball State University and some other universities doing studies with the tree canopy. And I'll bet you there's not one of those trustees that could tell you anything about any of that data that we collected. And I'm working towards a larger goal because it's something that the mayor wants to change long after we're gone. Everybody's sitting up here, things that are going to affect this community 20 years from now, 15 years from now. So it's not just the day-to-day operations that you all need to be aware of. It's projects that are on the table. We also have something coming up in November where the mayor is partnering, spearheading that also, to deal with addressing different issues in the community with business workshops, and we're partnering with several mayors in that, with including Mayor Wells, Mayor Polk, and I don't even know if they even know where those mayors, what mayors that they reside over, which municipalities. But there's long-term projects that are now going to fall through, and at the end of the day, it's the residents that are going to take the hit. So that's important also to keep in mind. It's not just the day-to-day projects. There are long-term projects that are on the table that are going to suffer as a result of some of us being gone. Thank you.
And one of the things that when we're working, and we're working with the county and we work with other agencies, is that our interaction with them has proven and been beneficial to this town, especially with the Rain Ready projects. We were the #1 community that received the highest amount of money to help our residents with the Rain Ready project in the flooding in the basins. How much did we get, Elizabeth? Huh? Yeah, $500,000 to help residents with the flooding. And then awarded the $600,000, and we'll be receiving a certificate from the county in regards to the $600,000 we were awarded for the freight study. As you know, yeah. So that was, I'm sorry. Right. Right. Okay. So we got a total of $725,000 from last year and this year to do the freight study, because we have over 75 trains a day that run through the village of Dalton. The average train is between 80 and 100 cars, and it ties up all of our crossings at the same time. If this once this freight study is done, we are anticipating an overpath to be a flyover to be put in by the old police station there. That's going to take some time, but I think it's going to happen because in this area, Riverdale and ourselves are one of the two communities that have many delays because of the trains. So we're doing something. We're trying to do something about it. And then we've got the freight study participating with the quiet zone. Some of you that are by the railroad tracks, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, they're blowing up whistles, and it's not necessary. These are not high-speed crossings. So that takes between 1 year and 2 years to get that put in place, but we're working on it. We're probably 6 to 7 months into it, and eventually we will have quiet zones here in the village of Dalton.
Good evening, everybody. As you all know, and everybody knows, it's not no secret that I was never a friend of the mayor or some of the trustees
You wasn't
sitting on this board.
I didn't know that.
You know I ain't no friend of yours.
I didn't know that.
But I do want to say, I want to address this to Trustee Muhammad, and he made me feel bad about myself, because when you were trying to run for mayor, I went to your meeting at Dalton Bowl. I even set your sign up in my yard. You know what you told me that night? You told me the reason why you and the mayor, or why the mayor is upset at you, because you told him you was running for mayor, right? And you said the mayor told you we can no longer be friends, which is a petty thing for both of you, first and foremost. But I had your sign in my yard, and God only knows, I'm so glad you didn't win. I am so glad, because, and I'm saying that not to be funny, because it seemed like every meeting we come to, you want to control everything in the meeting. And it says that about you. I know, I got you. But it says a lot about you as a person to go that viciously and that hard at every meeting we have with this mayor, with your own personal agenda. It's just straight up ludicrous. I'm so glad you didn't win, and I'm going to be one of the people to help unseat you when that time comes. I'm really asking for your resignation, and eventually I'm sure it will happen. You, Trustee Denton, I just want to tell you this. I was upset the last time you saw me when you tried to put your hands in my face. You never put your DBs in anybody's face. Don't you ever touch me. You don't know me like that.
You made that clear.
Okay, and I'm making it clear now. I'm making it clear now. No. You don't ask me to calm down. You're a trustee. It's your turn. You sit there quiet like you're not a part of this rhetoric when you're just as much a part of it. This is what you signed up for.
Not to argue.
You know what? You and Stubbs, y'all got that good. But tonight, it is your turn. This is a part of what you are right now. You helped build this chaos just because you wanted your hands greased as well. So let's keep it real.
Oh, I'd like to get a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Stop being so bad.
Can I get a motion? Can I get a motion to
I said
adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second?
Order, please. The meeting's
Is there a
still
second?
going.
Second, Mayor.
All right,
Now
it's
you're-
been motioned and seconded to adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for coming tonight. Can we get a roll call?
Trustee Muhammad.
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs.
Aye.
Trustee House.
Aye.
Trustee Denton. Trustee Pearson.
Aye.
Trustee Henyard.
Aye.
Thank you.